All right. Hey, everyone. This is Andrew Sutton. I'm in Sacramento, California, and coming to you doing the Double Your Dancing webinar. And I just want to check if everyone can see me and hear me. So if you can see and hear me, go ahead and type in the sidebar, yes, I can see you, or something, yes, video, or something like that. So that I know that you're talking about that. There's about a 10 to 20-second delay sometimes on what I say and when you guys hear it. So it's important if you give a yes, it's not just a yes, but it's a yes, and then what you're talking about, like video or audio, um, or more importantly, if it's not working, be very clear on what's not working so that I can help you guys out. Um, okay, so as you guys are checking that out, let's see. So this Double Your Dancing program, just so you guys know, this is for organizers, teachers, and dancers that want to see their dancings grow and thrive, right? You're definitely in the right space. You're probably one of these different people. You're either someone who's just started a dancing and maybe you don't want to go through all the struggles that I and many of the other people that are on this call have gone through. You just want your scene to explode and grow fast. Um, or maybe you're an organizer and you've been doing it for a little while now, but you just don't know how to get that class from 20 people to go to 25 and then to 30, and just keep on going up, rather than what normally happens is you have a class that starts out great and then it just starts dwindling, losing 2 or 3 people each week or something, or over each month, and then just gets lower and never quite pays the bills, right? Or it's always just breaking even. Um, or maybe you're running a successful business, it's going well, and you just want to take it to the next level. Or maybe you're in the situation of running that class, you've been doing something for years and it's been working really well, but now there's other competition that's coming in and they're taking some of your students, they're not collaborating with you, you're just struggling to actually thrive in this market with all these different competitors, right? So if you're in one of those situations, no problem. This is going to be perfect for you. Um, I am going to work to actually, I'm going to share a little screen sharing to show you guys. Oh, actually, before I do that, what I'd love is for you guys to post where you're at. You know, if you're in one of these 3 stages that I mentioned, or maybe you're somewhere else, um, that maybe you're somewhere else that you want to share where you are in your scene, you know, what your personal situation is that's slightly different. Go ahead and post that. And while you're posting that, I'm going to pop up a little screen share and share a presentation of slides with you guys, so you can see visually what you're going to be getting today. Let's see. Let's do that one. For what?
She can't see me.
Okay. All right, let's see. So just double checking that everything is, yep. All right, were there any shares so far? I see someone said, we are starting a new scene, shooting for synergy, rather than competition, as we're doing something slightly different with the existing very small scene in our area. Teresa, that's great. I definitely love the idea. Also, Joel says collaboration or lack thereof. I definitely think working with your scene to help grow with other people is great, and I'm all for promoting that. Today, at the same time, I want to make sure that even if the other people don't want to work with you, that you don't feel stuck. So we can talk about, maybe some specific things that you can do to encourage other people to work with you. But I want to make sure, no matter what, even if they don't work with you, you don't feel stuck and you don't feel like you can't thrive. So let's see what else we have here. I'm trying to decide if I want to commit to building a Lindy scene in Florence. Florence, Alabama, it looks like. Nothing exists now, and I'm not yet sure if I want to take it on. Cool, Emily. So what we can also talk about, remind me later, is when we get to the question and answer portion at the end, remind me to talk about simple ways that you can start up. If I don't talk about it during this, I might, but there's some simple things you can do to start up right away instead of having to take on like a full-on project that requires all your time. All right, Amy says we're a year into our new scene and it's not quite taking off, but still breaking even most of the time. It's still breaking even most of the time. Great. So you're in that situation where it's time to take it to the next level. Let's really get it to explode. That sounds like, Amy, the scene that you're in right now is exactly like the scenes that I've helped double their scene sizes. Kim, you're a teacher, venue operator who just found out building will close 2 months from now. Multiple other venues that do not collaborate. So finding a new venue, something like that. Maybe let's talk about that at the end of the call. I don't know if we're going to get into that during the middle of the call, but that's a great thing we can go over in the question and answer session. Robert says, we've had our scene for a year and a half. We have faith that will grow, but we are looking for more ideas. Excellent. Stay on the call. Let's see. I'm just reading through to see if there's any other points that I want to make sure you guys hear. The chat will not be in the replay for those that don't make it today. So if there's something important in the chat, I want to make sure it gets popped up there. Jonathan says, I'm introducing classes with live music in a scene that doesn't take many classes. I want to grow it to be a sustainable business in class and keep it interesting for beginning and advanced dancers. Great. We're going to totally cover that coming up. Nicolay, we have a small blues dance community and want to grow, especially to attract people to regular classes. Great. No problem. We'll cover that. Paul, my venue closing in 15 days, and you have weekly 200 dancers. So what to do? Okay. I haven't worked with that specific situation before, but like I said, during the Q&A, we can brainstorm some ways to solve that. All right, so let's move on, and let's specific about what I am positive we're going to get to today before we even get to the Q&A. We're going to make sure that you get some surefire secrets to getting new people hooked on dance and coming back week after week craving for more, right? I'm going to give you direct techniques to inspire your local dancers to want to improve and want to take classes, and also to give them the confidence that they can be amazing dancers, right? These are all things that I got write-ins about, so I really tried to prepare this for those of you that gave me enough time and wrote in ahead of time. I'm going to share with you how to teach drop-in lessons that are easy and exciting for beginners, but also progress and keep returning students coming back week after week. And how to keep existing and upper-level dancers coming to dances and ensure that new dancers are continually inspired, right? And I mean, you guys have probably been reading this. I don't know if I need to read all of this for you guys. Plus, if you stick on the call, I'm going to make sure that you guys get the slides at the end of this call, so you'll get to know what else we're talking about. Yeah, what else you're going to get in this. You're going to get all these slides so you can reread, but I don't need to read everything. Let's go on. Yep, so stick around. We'll have a question and answer session at the end. I'll give you an option to download these slides that you're seeing right now, as well as a bunch of slides that you're not going to see because they're just in the background for me. But before we move on, I guess there's some of you that might not know who I am. And so I want to make sure that you guys know who I am, what I've done, so you know, yeah, how committed I am to this. So first off, I placed second place in the World Lindy Hop Champions, first place in the American Lindy Hop Championships, first place at the U.S. Open, and I've got a ton more qualifications. Now, I'm not saying this to brag or anything like that. My goal is just to make sure you know that when I go for something, I go all in for it, right? So I love to dance. I really wanted to show that I could dance, right? So I was competing and trying to get like top championships at the beginning when I first started. And since then, I got more passionate about traveling and teaching dance. So I traveled to 233 cities across 35 countries to teach and to study dance, right? So, I mean, literally, I've seen scenes all over the world, and I know the struggles of these scenes. I've asked them. I'm always wondering, how do you grow your scene? What are the struggles you guys are having? How have you solved these struggles, you know? So I know a lot of different experiences that people are going through and how they've solved them. I even moved to Thailand with the goal of learning how to create a sustainable dance scene, right? A scene that could continue after I left from scratch in less than 90 days. That was my goal. And I didn't want to do it anywhere. I wanted to do it in the most difficult environment possible, right? And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I wanted to learn the most I could. And I knew if I put myself in an environment where, you know, the culture is a culture that doesn't, boys and girls don't actually dance together, right? They don't partner dance in this culture, at least not in the town I was in. I moved to a town that was literally in the middle of nowhere. It was about 500 hours north of Bangkok and south of Chiang Mai, and there were less than, I think there were only 2 people in the entire town that I knew that could speak English and have like a regular conversation with me. So it was not an easy situation, but I learned a ton from it, and that's actually what inspired me to start my Growing Your Scene program that I'm going to share with you guys today, that's helped literally double a dance scene and expand dance scenes very, very fast. Also, another thing that I did was I was the co-organizer and creative director for the Fusion Exchange, which, if you haven't heard of that, it's the biggest fusion dance event in the world. It has 600 attendees attending it, and that might seem like, you know, I've seen other events that have 600, 1,000 people going to it. So to me, it's not that big of a deal to organize an event that has 600 attendees. But what's really a big deal to me is that we did this from a scene that was non-existent, right? It's not like we did this in Lindy Hop where there's already thousands of Lindy Hoppers all around the world to pull from to create this. No, we went and we did it from Fusion, which was a concept that nobody really had heard of at the time, right? This is 8 years ago. Nobody had thought, oh yeah, Fusion, let's go do that. No, there wasn't a scene for this yet, and we grew it from the first year being 100 people to the 5th year having 600 people attending it. And it kept growing. You know, the last year still had 600 plus people attending it. So, so all this, I just want you guys to know, I love what I do. I go all in. So if you guys, you know, want to do this growing your scene program with me, I will go all in for you guys. I will make sure that your scene grows, right? And you're going to get a bunch of ideas regardless of whether you do the scene growing program with me or not, but I just want you guys to know I will go all in for you. So let's get into some of the ideas that I was talking about. Like I promise you, you're going to learn a bunch of cool stuff. So let's just go straight into it right now. The surefire secrets to getting new people hooked on dance and coming back week after week craving for more, right? So the key to this, to me, is get them involved and feeling needed, feeling wanted, right? So some specific examples of doing this are you could ask for help with breakdown at the end. Hey guys, need some help. You know, the people that help you out are going to be the people that end up staying. They're going to be the people that come back week after week because they're invested a little bit more, right? You can ask, a great one I love is ask the beginner to show someone else what they learned in class. If someone new comes in, you know, they missed the class, but they want to know, they always ask the organizer what they wanted. You don't have the time for that, or even if you do, maybe your time would be better spent actually dancing with people or organizing things, right? So instead, ask another person that was in that class, hey, could you show them what we learned today? That person gets to feel a little bit like they're wanted, right? And they get involved and they feel like they know something, right? So I remember one of the things that I would do. Hold on here. Just one of the things that I did with my scene, or not my scene, sorry, I was in Eugene, and there's a new guy that had come, and I was teaching a beginner class, and the person that hired me was worried that my class didn't work for this newcomer. They were like, it was a great class. I think all the intermediate and advanced dancers got a lot out of it, but there was one guy who was brand new. I'm a little worried that he was lost in the class, or maybe he didn't get the value, right? And so I was like, okay, well, let's just check in with him. So I went, I talked to him. I said, hey, what's going on? You know, or not what's going on. I asked, how'd you feel about the class? I know it's kind of an intermediate topic, but was it okay for you? And he was like, oh, I love the class. It was great. You know, we got to talking, and I invited him to go out with us afterwards. And so we went for dinner, like a late night dinner. We were all talking, and he mentioned that he loves to cook. And right then I was like, oh, well, you should cook for us. And he's like, oh, that might be a little too much, but, you know, I was like, well, what about a potluck? You know, I'm only in town for a couple more days. What if we organize a potluck and you cook one of the dishes, and maybe you could organize, you know, what dishes other people are going to bring as well. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. So 2 days later, we had a potluck and he was on Facebook organizing it. All of a sudden, he went from a beginner to someone who is integral part of the scene, right? And he's definitely still there today. I know I haven't checked today, but I remember like 3 months ago checking it out, and this was like a year ago, a year and a half or something that he was in the scene. He was organizing other stuff, helping with other things, because he got integrated to the dance scene. You know, people will come to a dance, and they'll come back to a dance for sure because a dance is fun. But people come back for friends and family a lot more often, right? So get them involved, feeling needed, feeling wanted, feeling like they're in a family situation or a friends, and you will have them coming back for more. So let's go. So let me pull up the next slide. The next one is giving you guys direct techniques to inspire your local dancers. Let's see. Direct techniques to inspire your local dancers. Sorry. To want to improve. and take classes and to give them the confidence that they can be amazing, right? So what are some direct, and I'm going to split this into two sections because I feel like these are two different things. So you've got the direct techniques to inspire your local dancers to want to improve and take classes. All right, let's look at that. For me, the biggest thing is you got to show them the difference. You know, I can't tell you how many times people just expect that people know that these people are better than them or that they need to take classes in order to prove. They don't know this. You've got to show them the difference, right? And here's a couple ways to do that. You can do it through demos, right? When you show a demo and someone goes, whoa, that person is awesome, they want to be a little bit more like them, right? Or you can hire top-notch teachers to come in and you can talk them up and talk about all the things that they do or the amazingness that they are, right? And that's a great way to get people to go, oh, this person's different than me. I want to get to where that person is, right? Another thing you can do is a tip of the night or something like that where you show, like the key to me is showing minimization versus exaggeration. Yeah, so if you think of, most people don't show the difference accurately. So when they show something, they go, you know, here's, actually I'm going to show visual for this so you guys can see me. This is the standard way to teach people to dance. Can I borrow you, Christina? They say, you know, when you dance with someone, you don't want to be jerky. Hold on, let's get a little better. You don't want to be jerky, and could you be, like, stumble when I lead you? So they say you don't want to lead someone like this, right? And the follow's going and being all exaggerated, and nobody connects with that, right? Nobody in class or in a dance sees that and goes, oh, I'm doing that, so I should stop doing that, right? Instead of showing that, think of trying to, like, minimize the issue so they can't see it, right? So say, you don't want to be jerky. Now try to be perfect and no problems, right? You don't want to be jerky and lead people like this, right? You notice how she still made it look good, right? So now people are going, wait, okay, why is that jerky, right? Or maybe even that was too exaggerated. Maybe you want to go even smaller. You want to say, does everybody see the difference between option A and option B? Here's option A, okay, and here's option B. Let me show that again. Option A, option B. What's the difference? Now, I bet even some of you can't see the difference between option A and option B, right? But there's a huge difference, right? There's a huge difference. And that's the thing, is getting them to the point that they see that they don't know something, right? If they don't know that, then they need to come to class. Now, you can give them that difference. Like I'll give you guys. The difference was, in one, I just led. I didn't connect first. I just went, let's go in a spin. In B, I actually created a connection first through my partner so I could feel that they were ready to do the move. And then I led, right? And these things aren't always visible, right? So we need to break them out. And now, once we've done a minimization and people go, oh, I see, that's important, yeah. Now I'll show it to them. I'll say, now watch the difference, because you can see it if I exaggerate it, right? Here's A, I'm not connected yet. There's nothing here between us, and I just lead, right? Now in B, watch how the muscles, when I press, watch slowly. So far we're still in A, but watch in B, I'm going to press in this direction, and now did you see our bodies connect up? Her arm went, and mine, we've got this connection, and now we use that to lead our partner, right? So now get everybody to experience that once, to go feel that connection, now do it. Thank you. Awesome. Once you get them to experience that, now they know the difference between what they're doing on the social dance floor and what they could be doing, right? So it's important, like, and I would do this at a dance during the night. I would literally take 5 minutes during the dance, go, tonight we're doing a tip of the night, and what is that tip? Here, the tip is how to connect, well, I wouldn't even tell them at first. I'd do that. I would do that, get them all going, oh, I didn't realize. Ask them, how many of you feel this every time you lead, right? If you're not feeling this, or follows, how many of you feel this every time before you get led somewhere? And have them raise their hands, have them see, oh, wow, look how many people don't feel this. So that they can know there is a clear difference between what they're doing and what they could be doing, right? So that's what I would do. And there's a ton of different things. Each night I recommend doing a different tip of the night. And a little hint about this, there's ways of doing tips of the night that are exciting, and there's ways that are not, right? So one of the things you want is you want them to ask you for the tip of the night. You don't want to tell them it, right? Because you want them engaged in wanting this. So I would, the first time you implement this, I would say, here's this concept that we're going to do, tip of the night, but if you want it, you have to ask for it, right? So if we go back to the screen sharing, the whole point of this is you got to show them the difference between where they are and where you want them to be, or where they could be, and you've got to tell them why they would benefit, right? They've got to experience why they would benefit in order for them to be inspired to want to improve and to take classes. Because currently they're probably at a point where they don't know that they can improve, that they can't, that the class, they don't know what the classes are going to do for them, right? Now, let's go into give dancers confidence that they can be amazing, right? For this, you want them to experience success, right? So sometimes people do classes where they're so complicated that they just they can't feel successful, right? So you want to give them that success. And if you noticed in the minimization versus exaggeration thing, what I would do to make sure that they experience success would be I would just have them all feel this without moving, right? Just like I showed it, I would have them all feel that concept of create that connection between your partner and notice what it feels like. And then maybe even keep walking, take steps, but notice what it feels like. So you're getting them slowly integrated into actually doing dance moves while feeling this. Because if you just ask them, well, go ahead, do it in your dancing, they're not going to experience that success, right? You want to get them to experience success, and then I personally actually like to give them struggles as well, right? Because if they don't struggle, there's no reason for them to feel success. So I'll say, okay, now let's try it in a more difficult situation, and then bring it back out into a simple situation again and give them that experience of success. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them when they are successful. That's huge. People don't always know when they're doing it right. In fact, a lot of the time, how many times have you had an instructor or a dancer say, like, am I doing this right? Can you come check it with me, right? They need to know that they're actually doing things the way that you want them to. All right, so let's go on to the next topic, which was how to teach drop-in lessons that are easy and exciting for beginners, but also progress and keep returning students coming back week after week for more. Okay, so I think it's very simple. Keep it fresh, but keep it simple, right? And the way that I would do that is that I would have 4 rotating topics with 3 subtopics that are rotating. So an example might be your 4 topics are, if you're a swing dancer, those topics would be Lindy Hop, like swing outs, right? 8 count moves, we'll call it, that's one topic. 6 count moves, Charleston, and what would be a good 4th one? Balboa, right? Or maybe you want to keep it within Lindy Hop, still Lindy Hop style stuff. So you go with breaking up swing outs into two sections, swing outs, open to close, close to open, or something like that. Or maybe it's just slightly different moves like within that, right? Maybe you're only doing swing out classes, but in week 1 you do swing out and Texas Tommy. In week 2 you do swing out and tuck turn. You know, you can change it up, or outside turn or something like that. But you've got 4 topics of what you're teaching as far as moves go. Then you have 3 or 5 subtopics, right? Where like the subtopic might be grounding, right? Like, you know, or the subtopic, like, and grounding mean like how to really dance grounded with your partner, right? Or a subtopic might be how to connect musically to the volume of the music, right? Or to the energy of the music. Or the subtopic could be, well, actually, maybe you guys could type in some subtopics. Go ahead and let's brainstorm some really quick. What are some subtopics that you guys think would be valuable? Musicality, but specifics of musicality. Maybe you talk about phrasing one week. Maybe within connection, you can break it up. You don't have to just think connection. You can think frame in week 1. You can think your own. Let's even break frame up. Let's go your own frame in week 1, your partner's frame in week 2, right? And the point of this, as we're coming up with some subtopics, is if you're rotating them, it's going to offset. So in week 1, if you do main topic 1 and subtopic number 1 on week 1, in week 2, subtopic 2 and main topic 2, week 3, main topic 3, subtopic 3. On week 4, you're going to do main topic 4 and subtopic number 1, right? And then when you go on to week 5, you're going to do main topic number 2, or sorry, main topic number 1 and subtopic number 2, right? So they're always going to be linked up with a different, the main topic will be linked up with a different subtopic, and you get 12 classes instead of 4 classes, right? And if you imagine, if you were to do 8 rotating topics with 7 subtopics, you got 56 classes before you ever repeat. And so, I mean, I think a sweet spot is probably 5 with 4 or 4 with 5, right? It doesn't really matter which one has more and which one has less, as long as one has one more or one less than the other, then you're good. And I like that sweet spot because it gets you 20. And by the time they've done 20 classes, they need to repeat that first class they did anyway, so they'll be coming back anyway. So I'm seeing some topics pop up. I see macro musicality versus micro musicality. Awesome, great idea. Any other topics? I don't see any others yet. What is some that I like doing? The arms, how the arms work within the dance, right? So I focus on really looking at like how do our arms connect within our own body and connect with our partner's body, right? How do our legs work within the dance? What about our posture? These are all different things that affect the dance. What about the feeling of the music, right? Like how does this song feel to you? How could you describe this song and what about creating a story? These are all good subtopics, you know, or depending on how you look at it, maybe those are the actual main topics and maybe your subtopics are the movements that you do, right? So it really can go in a lot of variety of ways, but the key is having 2 different things that offset. All right, let's move on to another slide. So how to keep existing and upper-level dancers coming to the dances and ensure new dancers are continuously inspired, right? So again, I separated this one into 2 sections. So the first one, how do we keep existing and upper level dancers coming to the dances? I mean, you'll notice a lot of the things I say are find out why it isn't working and adjust, right? Be a problem solver. So literally go ask them, why aren't they coming to the dances? What would make them come? And then adjust, right? It might be, for some people, it might be cost, right? So you can give those people, oh, well, would you come if there was a discount, or what if it were for free, you know? And it depends. You don't want to just give everything away for free. But you do want people coming back for more. I'm going to pause right here because I'm seeing a couple things come in as far as questions go that I'm going to answer later. Like, are these drop-in lessons? I was talking about drop-in lessons, yes. And how do you accommodate your topics to a class of varied level dancers? Can we copy-paste that, and we'll do that in the Q&A? Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel like exactly what I explained should do that, but if you feel like it's not doing that for some reason, we can come back to some more ways to do that for you, for sure. So back on to what we're on now is find out why they aren't, find out why they aren't coming, and then adjust, right? And don't make it blanket. Don't make it the same, because these people aren't the same. These people are your advanced dancers. They're different, right? So the person that wants to get in free, if you feel that it's valuable enough to have them there, then give them it for free, right? If you don't, obviously, if you don't feel that they bring $10 worth of value by being there, then don't give them it for free. But you're looking at bringing people back, and I think it is valuable to have some of those advanced dancers there, you know, especially the ones with good attitudes. So I would give them free if I feel they are awesome, you know, and put them on the guest list so that they know and feel like they don't. God, it sucks coming to a dance and not knowing whether you're comped or not, right? Like it feels weird, like so. Have them on the guest list and tell them they're on the guest list. Tell them how often they're on the guest list. If you want to make it once a month, fine, do that. If you want to make it every single time for the rest of their life, whatever it is, make sure they know what they have so that they can come in confident. And make sure your staff knows that as well. If maybe music is a problem for them, though, maybe they don't like the music, and so you can ask them, oh, well, how do you feel about DJing? Or maybe you could just give us music recommendations. Maybe you could, if you don't want to DJ, would you mind running a class to help improve the DJs, right? And they could do a class. It could be free. It could cost money, whatever like option. You can work it out, but show that you care, right? Maybe they just want recognition. Maybe they just want to be able to get, like, if they go to class, they want a little something out of it, you know? They want to be able to get private lessons. Or if they go to the dances, you know, maybe they can do a demo and then say they're available for privates. That's a win-win situation if you feel that they are good enough to do demos. So, yeah, the key, though, is show them you care about them, because that's what gets them coming, right, is solving their problems, adjusting for them, making it for them. Yeah. And obviously do this all within the confines of what you want to do with your venue. Don't do something you don't want to do, right? If they want music that you don't like or that you don't want to promote for some reason, stick with the music and be okay with not everyone coming to your dances, right? Trust me, the stuff I show you later, you don't need everyone to come to your dances because you're going to have a ton of people already coming. And also, I think that's another thing to point out is you guys I want you to grow your dancing so massively that you don't need every single dancer to show up every night. You've got literally thousands of people to pull from, right? If you're in a town, like even if you're in a small town, it's probably got 10 to 50,000 people in it, right? Medium-sized towns have somewhere between 50 and 200,000 people, and big towns have somewhere between 200 and a million people in them, right? So you can get people to your dances. It's just there's more people out there that don't even know your product exists, right? So I think an important thing to recognize is you got to focus on continuing to bring in more people so that you don't need everyone coming every day. Because you know what? I love dance. I'm addicted. I am going to go a lot, but I don't go every time. I like to have my nights off. Yeah, so I don't want you to need everyone to go all the time. Anyway, let's go on to ensure new dancers are continuously inspired. How do we ensure new dancers are continuously inspired? For me, it's give them amazing experiences, right? The demos are awesome for those beginners, right? So get those advanced dancers in doing demos, right? Do stuff that's fun for non-dancers. Do non-dance stuff. Have theme nights once a month. If you throw a theme night, that can be fun for someone's first time when they show up and everybody in the room is dressed in white. They're like, wow, that's cool, you know, or it's the Mad Hatter Tea Party night, you know, or it's the blind dance night. Give them theme nights, give them games to play that that make them feel like they can dance without being that great, right? Have them come out for food after dancing, right? And the next one, the First Timers Jam, I love this one. This one is where you have the dancers at the end of the class. Ideally, you have people waiting like they're ready to get to the dance, right? Hopefully, you have some existing dancers there going, all right, let's dance. So right at the end of the class, you go, hey, welcome everyone that's, you know, just come in. These are our newcomers tonight. You know, would you guys mind if we throw a dance for them, or, you know, grab them for a dance, you know, and that's a great way to integrate them immediately so they don't leave the dance, right? They get their first dance with someone that knows what they're doing. The people are encouraged. You're creating a culture of dancing with beginners, right? This is such a great idea. Also, it doesn't have to happen at the beginning of the night. I do love at the beginning of the night, but the First Timers Jam is actually something that Sacramento does about an hour into the dance. When there's a lot of people there, they go, all right, whose first time is it tonight? So now it doesn't matter if they're a beginner or not. And I really like that aspect. It's just whoever, it's your first time here, we're going to jam you. They get in the middle, right? People are actually on their knees while everybody sees who's like actually there to be danced with, and the other people are bending down. So it's like we're giving praise to these people while we're explaining what's going to happen. And then dance starts. They get to experience dancing with 20 different people in one song, right? You're creating a culture again of getting them out there, getting them experienced. That is amazing for a beginner, you know. And I know some people worry, oh, but beginners don't want to be put on the spot. It's really, I have not had the situation where a beginner doesn't do it, you know. I mean, maybe I have, but those beginners just don't show up on the floor, right? But the ones that show up, they might be like, it's my first time, but they do it, they have fun. It's a great thing to do. So all in all, the thing that I want to really point out is you want them to have amazing experiences. So keep striving to give them those and give them fresh experiences. Do new things, not just for your beginners, but for your intermediates and advanced dancers. Keep coming up with new ideas. I'm seeing Paul said theme nights blew our scene up, right? Like so it really helped. It does. These things make a difference. Are you, Christina, taking notes of people that are having problems so that I can address them? Are there any you feel I should address now? Okay. Some of the things you guys are saying we're going to address towards the end of the call, but if there's anything specific to what we're dealing with now, every once in a while I'm checking in with Christina just to make sure that I answer the things that are specific to what we're dealing with. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is actually there's more things that I promised you guys, right? I promised you that we're going to be increasing attendance in your classes so the numbers keep going from 20 to 22 to 25, and it just keeps going up. I don't want your, it happens all the time where a class begins, like you do a lot of publicizing your first class and a bunch of people come. But instead of those classes continuing to grow, I usually see the scenes dwindling from 20 down to 18 to 15 to 10, you know, and then it just kind of settles somewhere and never really grows. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover running your business so all the competition with other organizers and events are helpful to you instead of harming you. We're going to cover leveraging online media to grow your scene even faster than fast. I mean, seriously fast. And we're going to cover where to find loads of new potential dancers, how to easily get them in the door, and how to convert them into students that love to dance. Right? So that's all coming up. But before we do that, or as we do that, I think all these things have to do with the program I'm going to do with you guys, and the secret to them is to inspire other people to help and to do it with something they can be proud of, right? So we're going to cover that, but there's good news, and that's that you already have something they can be proud of, right? Dancing is fun. That's why they go. Your students already love it. They're already attending, right? So if you have 5 people coming to your classes, you have 5 people that can help you out. If you have 20 people, you have 20 people that can help you out, right? Dancing literally has saved lives. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me over the years and said, you know, I was literally on the verge of suicide, and then I found out about dancing, and it just perked me up. I found a reason to live, you know, and now I'm moving forward with my life. This literally is something that makes a huge difference for people in their lives. Some people are introverts, and then they go through this, they become extroverts, they become confident, you know? So there's no reason not to share it with people, no reason not to share this love of dance. So not only, like, so I want you guys to share it, and I want you guys to help your students share it, right? So let's talk a little bit about what is in the Double Your Dance Scene program that I do. And the specific things are, we really do 2 things. We fine-tune your product, and then we help and get people inspired to help grow the scene, right? We get other people to do this for you. Because I don't want you to spend all the time doing this, right? I want you to be able to do all the other things that you want to do to improve your scene. That's my goal, is once we set something in motion, it should just happen. You shouldn't have to do a bunch of work to make it happen. So to fine-tune the product, we're going to clarify options for newcomers, and we're going to optimize flyers, right? And there's probably a bunch of other things that we can do, but those 2 things are going to be guaranteed. Those are going to happen. And depending on your scene, we might adjust things as we go. And then to inspire others, we do a Grow Your Scene class for your community. We do Facebook posts to remind and inspire, and we track that growth. And these things are key in order to keep people excited about this, right? So let's go into a little bit of like examples of what this has done for some of the other scenes that I've worked with. Sandy Simpson from Nova Blues in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, is someone that she was one of the first people I worked with this program. And I want to point out, I've been doing Growing Your Scene classes for years, many years. But every time I do them, like I do like this 2-hour class, and then I'd ask the scene later, how's your scene doing? And it'd be in the exact same place. It'd still be in the same spot, still 20 people. And I just got pissed off. I did. I got annoyed with this. And it's like, you know what? It's time for me to set up a program that actually makes sure that these things that I'm talking about get implemented, you know? So that's what this program does. It's not just what you're doing today is getting information. And that's valuable. That's definitely worth 20 bucks. To me, I think the stuff I'm giving you today is worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Especially if you know how to implement the things. You know, I know I've spent I've spent several $1,000s to go to a one-day class, you know, fly across the world to go to a one-day class with Scott Cupid, the owner of Swing Patrol, right? And I knew just one idea from him was going to make me hundreds of thousands of dollars because I share that information with people, and when I share that information, they hire me again, right? They're like, holy crap, they want me to come back. So I spend a lot of money doing things to learn so that I can share these concepts. But I got to a point where it was like, you know what? I want to just implement these concepts. And that's what I did for Sandy, is I just went in and I made sure that these happened for her scene. And this is what she had to say. You know, you can read the whole thing. I'm just going to point out some of the things that were really strong. He revolutionized our dance scene to be well on its way to becoming the community it's always meant to be. It allowed our scene to become much more sustainable, right? To continue to grow over time, and he positively impacted our dance scene for a lifetime. And if you were to contact her today, guarantee she will say the same thing. She will say she's a rave reviewer of all the things I do. And she's also said, you know, if people want to contact me, they can for reference. So feel free. You see her link there. I think you can click on that link. I'm not sure, 100% sure. If someone tries clicking on it, I do warn you, you want to right-click and select Open in a New Tab, right? Because otherwise it might take you out of the program that I'm, you know, out of the webinar. But you can get in contact with her and see exactly, you know, how I did the things for her. Of course, she's not going to give away all the techniques and tips and stuff like that, but she is going to tell you how awesome it was. She'll tell you, you know, it literally happened in 3 months, you know, and to give you what she was like before she had been running a scene for 1 to 2 years, right? This scene was going, and it had been always 25, 30 dancers. I think literally, like, before I went to them, they were averaging 25 dancers a week. But sometimes they'd have 5 dancers show up. Sometimes they wouldn't even be able to run the dance night. They'd have to close down because they didn't have enough dancers to run the dance. You know, so with just in 3 months of after I worked with them, after I did my Growing Your Scene class with them, 3 months later they had average of 40 dancers coming each week, right? They had 32 new dancers come in, and like literally like people they'd never seen before, but 40 every single week were coming in, right? That's a 60% increase in 3 months. And then 2 months after that, they had gained 47 new dancers that they'd never seen before showed up at their dance. It was growing, right? Exponentially. So that's what I'm doing for you guys, you know. And if we look at another example, Eugene, Oregon went from, you know, having about 55 dancers at their weekly dances to within 7 weeks, only 7 weeks after I ran that class with them, they had 75 new dancers, or sorry, not 75 new dancers, they had 51 new dancers in 57 days, right? But they had an average of 75 dancers coming every week. Right? Every week, 75 dancers. They were running out of room and literally looking for a new place because it was too big. Right? Now, that's not necessarily what I recommend that you do once you get too big, but it certainly is an option. Now, I've got a ton more testimonials for other things that I do. If you guys, you know, want to know specifics of how all these others, you know, or sorry, if you want to see more, if you're not quite convinced that I really work hard to do my best for you guys, go ahead and check out some of my other testimonials. I'm going to put up a link in the, you're going to see it pop into the sidebar. I'm just pulling up the link now. In the chat. So that link, if you right-click on that link and open it up, you can scan through a ton more testimonials that I have done, that I've gotten over the years on all the different things, the teacher trainings I've done, things from organizers that have hired me to teach classes. So check that out on your free time. But let's move on. Let's see what's next. Okay, I want to talk about the difference between doing this on your own versus hiring someone to do this for you, right? Certainly, there's a bunch of information that I'm giving you today that, like, start implementing, start doing things on your own, right? At the same time, I want you guys to think about how much work do you want to do, you know? Do you really want to spend all the time doing all this work? Because some of these things, growing an ant scene is not easy. It does take time, and some of the things you got to figure out. You got to go through struggles, right? So why not have someone else do it for you, right? Take the time off your hands. Literally, you will have just a couple hours of work if you hire me versus probably hundreds of hours of work if you try to do this on your own, right? How much do you want to struggle also? Like, there's things that I'm trying to share as much information as I can with you guys, but there's things that I just intuitively know work and don't work that because I've seen so many hundreds of scenes try things out, right? And so many different aspects. If you look at, you know, the Fusion Exchange versus any other event, I was the consultant for this, where everything went through me to decide whether it was something that happened or didn't happen, right? And there's a huge difference from that event versus almost any other event out there. You know, what other event that's ran within 5 years went to 600 people in a dance scene that was non-existent, right? Like, so you can put up, sure, I think if you look at the other really successful event is Harangue Dance Camp, has 1,000 people coming every week. But how long did it take them to get there? Like 20 years before they were at the point where they were having 1,000 people showing up every week, right? What level do you want to play at as well? Like, I don't know what level you're at right now, but I am literally someone who has traveled and seen hundreds of scenes. I know what works. I know what works best. So if you guys want to do stuff that works really well, work with someone that knows what they're like, that is at a high level, right? Work with the best. That's what I try to do. Literally, I work with the best when it comes to sales and running my business. I hire someone and I go to $5,000 events, literally work with someone with just 30 people in the room working with, do you know what Rich Dad Poor Dad is? It's one of the most successful books to help entrepreneurs build their businesses, right? And I literally have worked with, like, one-on-one with the guy where he's like critiquing me one-on-one, looking at how I'm talking about things and what my goals are and adjusting so that I can really improve the best, right? I didn't hire just some random coach to help me. I hired the best. And that's what I want you guys to do, you know? And, I mean, of course, do it at whatever you want, but at the same time, think about the level of your product will directly relate to your level and the people that you hire to help and work with you. Also, the other thing is, do you want it to be plug and play? Because my system is literally plug and play. Like, we are just going to look at things, ask you a couple questions, and then implement things rather than, like, having to struggle and set up everything. So I want to make you guys, actually, let me share my screen again with you guys. Where is it? To share what I want with you guys. I want to make you guys succeed with simple strategies, right? I want to just give you easy ideas to make things work, and I want to give you, I want to make it super simple. I want to take out all the common mistakes that happen, and I want to provide you with less work, more free time, and more income, right? Because, and there's a reason why I want to do this. Like, it's not just that I want money, you know, I want you guys to hire, well, I mean, it is a little bit selfish, right? Like, I want you guys to have more money so that you'll hire me again, right? Because if you have more money, you can afford to hire me for bigger things, to grow your scene from, you know, if it's doubled now, what do we want to do next? We want to double it again, right? Or maybe you want to bring me in to teach classes. A lot of places can't even afford to bring me in to teach classes. That sucks. That sucks that people can't afford to bring in outside instructors. So I want you to be able to afford anyone, not just me. I want you to be able to afford the best instructors in the world, which usually are the most expensive, right? There's people out there that cost $10,000 to get. You can't get them for less than that to come to your scene and teach, right? Because they're at the top. But really, also, I want you guys to have more time to take vacations. I want you to travel the world if you want to travel the world. I want you to attend other dance events. If you're like me, that's what I want to do. You can see here, I go all over the place, dancing, going to other events, and I get hired for a lot of them, but I also just travel to go to events because that's what I love. I love not having any responsibility and just showing up at a place and dancing my ass off, right? I want you to be able to spend time with your friends and family. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to have plenty of money. I don't want you to have worries, right? So think about, take the steps to hire someone to help you get to this stage, right? Now let's go into some details about fine-tuning your product, right? Like in my program, you're going to learn what are the most effective methods for your scene to get newcomers, right? Because every scene's a little different. And I want to work specifically for your scene, what are going to be the quickest ways to get newcomers. And I also want to look at how are you letting potential dancers fall through the cracks, right? Because this happens in a ton of scenes. There's so many ways that people are letting people just, go to another event, go to a different thing other than theirs. What are the common mistakes? I want you guys to know what are the common mistakes you are making when it comes to getting new people to attend your dance or your class, right? So that's the type of stuff we're going to go over if you hire me for my Double Your Dance Scene program. And let's look at, we're also going to optimize flyers. We're going to look at what should be on your flyer and what should not be on your flyer, and how do we target your flyer to get exactly who you want. Right? So if we look at this flyer over on the right and just look at it, what is something this is probably a tip that will be the most valuable tip I can think of that I've learned over the years. I don't know, I've learned a ton of valuable stuff. Okay, that's not true. This is an extremely valuable tip, is what I'm saying. On your flyer, there should be a reason for them to keep the flyer, right? So I want you guys to point out right now, if you look at that flyer, what is the reason that they should keep it? And go ahead and type that into the chat window. Why should they keep this flyer? And as we look at that, I want you to think, the reason why they should keep a flyer is because some people need multiple times to go to something, right? A flyer is great for someone. If someone picks it up and looks at it and goes, oh, I want to go to this, I'm gone, that's awesome. Probably 70% of those people are going to end up going. 30% are going to forget about that flyer, lose it, something like that, or just pack it away and forget about it and not go, right? Maybe even more. Maybe 70% are going to do that, but there's going to be a chunk of people that don't. However, if there's a reason that they need to keep this flyer, right, then they're going to keep it. I know there's certain flyers that I pin up right next to my door of my bedroom because it's something that I want to remember. It's oh yeah, I want to do this someday, but I haven't done it. And then every day I walk by that flyer and I go, oh yeah, I should do that. Right? So you got to make sure that there's some reason for them to keep that flyer. That's my opinion, and that has made a huge difference for me. And if you get one thing out of this whole thing, make sure that your flyer has a reason for them to keep it, and make sure it's obvious. Make sure it's something they see immediately, right? There's a ton of other things about flyers that are important, and I'll show you a couple of these. Let's pull up flyer tips. Because I want you guys to see just how much there is and how much I'm going to go over with you. Or if you don't want to do the work, which I recommend, don't bother with the work yourself, I'll go over it directly with your graphic designer or whoever does your flyers, or we can hire someone. I know people that can do your flyers really well. But look at all the information that we're going to go over when we do flyers. Let's see. I'm working on bringing up the screen share of that. Okay, so these are all the tips that I go over. I'm just scrolling through them. We don't have time for it all. Tons of tips. A bunch of flyer examples. Flyers of different sizes, right? Flyers like business cards. There we go, business cards. You know, so all these things are things that I'm going to show your web designer, and I'm going to work with them personally to make sure that you have the best flyer that's optimized for your scene, right? And for what you guys need to grow your scene. And you guys are absolutely right. If you bring the flyer your first time, it's free. That is the thing that we're looking for on that flyer. And there's a bunch of different things depending on what your scene needs. That does tend to be one of the best ones, but it really depends on where your scene's at, what you want to put on that flyer. So let's go back to screen sharing. The other things that you're going to get from this program. All right, so let's look at another flyer. And let's just look at this flyer. What is missing from this? And this is a solid flyer. And I want you guys to type out what's missing and what shouldn't be there. What's on this flyer that shouldn't be there, and what's missing from this flyer. So first, give me what's missing, and then give me what shouldn't be there. And I'll talk about what I do like about this flyer while we're waiting for those to come in. The things I do like about this flyer is that it's simple, and there's not too much information on it, right? There's only the information they need on this flyer for the most part. There is maybe something they don't need, and maybe they're missing something they do need. But one thing I'm noticing is that it says at the park /KIC. So depending on who you're targeting, this could be good or bad, right? And I want you guys to think at what you have on your information could require them, like, is this enough to get them in the door, or do they need to seek out more information, right? If this is enough for them to just pick up this flyer and walk into your class and they have enough information, then that's all they need. But maybe there's more information on this flyer that that they need in order to attend, right? So that's something to think about as you're looking at this. What else do I like about this flyer? Like I said, simple. Oh, something maybe that could be added. There's no logo, or maybe that is their logo. There's no picture, right? And pictures literally do say 1,000 words. So the adagio, or the old saying, does work. I would share with them the picture of some sort. Maybe two people dancing tango or something like that. But there's a ton of other things that I would look at and I would talk about with the person that's doing this flyer. So I want you guys to really look at your flyers and look at what is needed, what's not needed, refine it to make sure that it's optimized for who it is. Like, that's another thing, is who is this for? Is it for a beginner, intermediate, or advanced dancer? And if it is for, which one is it for? Is it optimized for them? I hear a lot of people say, well, it's for everyone. And that is the worst idea possible. I can't imagine how many people do that, because if you make it for everyone, it makes it for no one. When you try to speak to everyone, you speak to nobody, right? They don't see it as much. Now, if you target it to one person, right? If you target it to a beginner, it will speak to more than just beginners, right? But it will make sure it definitely speaks to all beginners, and then it's going to speak to a few other people too, right, in other categories. Okay, let's look at what you guys have come up with here. It looks like, oh, and there's a question. Joel says, is that going to be in the notes at the end? I'm not sure what you're asking for is what going to be in the notes at the end. So if you could pop that up, what you want, what is going to be in the notes, I'll let you know. How much, Robert? Oh, that's what's missing, I'm assuming you're saying. They do have by donation, so that is on there. Maybe you meant that shouldn't be there. And I would 100% agree. If that is the case, I would not put how much. I would not put donation. I would put first night free, right? Because their first night, who wants to go to something that you don't want to spend money on something you don't know is good, right? Like, you want to give them something that's awesome and amazing free. And then ask them for money after they experience their first time, right? And there's more to this, and we'll go over details of this if you in the program, like what more is to this. Why do you do it for free? How do you talk to people about it so that it's free? How do you let them know? What if someone comes in without the flyer, you know, what do you do then? There's tons of different things that we can do to work with your door staff and to make sure that this flows seamlessly. But don't put the price on, put first night free. No matter, that would be my suggestion. Let's see. Someone said address is missing. That's great. That's something that could be missing or could not. It really depends. If everybody in your town knows what the park is /KIC, if they all know where that is, then I wouldn't bother putting the address. If you think 95% of people that see this are going to know, but if you think that only 50% of people are going to see this, you got a problem. You need to put that address on there. Right? Let's see, what else is it? Joel says the reason to keep is missing. And absolutely, there's no reason to keep on this flyer. And that is huge. They're going to lose a ton of people because of that. Right? I don't want you guys to be losing people. That is my goal, is to when it comes to newcomers, I'm going to try to fill all those holes so that you're not losing those newcomers. And worse, you're losing. The bad thing about this is advertising Tango, and this person's going to see Tango, and in their mind they're going to go, oh, Tango's cool, maybe I want to do that. And then some other day they're going to pick up another flyer about Tango that's from their competitors, and they're going to go to that because that has first night free on it, right? Or that had a reason, or it was just the right time, but they didn't keep your flyer. They didn't have your flyer looking at it over and over. They had a different person's flyer. And your flyer helped that other person, because if their flyer was the other person's and they saw that first, they would have thought about that, and then maybe 10 days from then they see your flyer, right? But your flyer helped someone else and didn't help you. Those are the type of things I want to solidify for you guys and get rid of. Joel also said what's missing is a photo, or what. No photo is there, right? That's absolutely true. It could be a photo, would be great. Robert says, what kind of tango? That's a good point, but only for advanced dancers or intermediate or beginner. Like, only for people that already know what tango is. I definitely wouldn't put what type of tango if I was advertising this to beginners, right? If I was putting this flyer out to the masses, then don't bother putting what type of tango, because they don't know the difference anyway. Right? And the people that do know that there's a difference will probably be curious enough to find out more by calling the phone number or going to a website. Amy says, no partner required, not necessary. That depends. That actually might be a good thing for beginners, because often beginners do think that they need a partner to show up. So I think that's probably a good idea if this is for beginners. Oh, what I scrolled through about flyers, Joel. No, that will not be given anywhere. That is something that I specifically go over if you hire me for the full program. There's a ton of things here that I have that, like, you know, I'm trying to give you guys enough to really get you started if you want to, but like, I'm not going to give away all my secrets. I mean, I've spent literally thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on this stuff. to get it to be where it is today. So yeah, that's one of the plug and play things that comes from hiring me full to implement this for you. And if you do, then you have access to that and you can look at it at any time. But you don't even need to look at it because I will implement all of it for you. Yeah. So there's a question: how do you deal with track free with flyer with someone that grabs 10 flyers and comes to the next 10 dances for free? Honestly, I've never seen that happen, and I would say your door staff will notice after a couple times. My personal way is I trust people, and I let people know that I trust them, and that tends to work. You know, I know a guy in Burlington, Vermont, and honestly, I'll set you up in a way where that one person is not going to make a difference in your dancing because you're going to have so many dancers that you won't worry about the people that are trying to cheat you. And if someone's trying to cheat you, there's probably a reason for that. They probably need to. Be honest, I was that person at one point that did, like, sneak into dance events. Not very often, but occasionally I did sneak into them. And it's because I was a poor freaking college student and had no other way. And I'm not promoting that, but you know what? Now I pay for them. And I pay big money for them a lot of the time. Even though I get hired to come to some of them, I still pay for harangue. I pay thousands of dollars to go to harangue. And so the people that are stealing from you now might not be stealing for you forever. So I want to support people where they're at, and if someone needs to steal from me, I'm not going to say steal from me, but I'm not going to try to set it up in a way where nobody can steal. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to be that paranoid. If you're that type of person, like, I'm all for helping you try to figure out a way, but I recommend not worrying about it personally. That's what I would do. But to each his own as well. I do want you to feel confident and comfortable in what you're doing. So if you want to come up with a way to track that and make sure, there's definitely ways. I know some people have like systems where they ask the person's name when they come in and they already know if that person has got their free night or not. And that system's really great anyway, just to be able to track people and know who they are. But I do have ways of tracking, and you will get ways to track information with my program, for sure. I track different things. Joel, you said, I have a good door staff at our Sunday dances, but not sure they would notice returning flyer people. Yeah, so I think we covered that there. Let's go on to the next thing that we will get to, which is, let's look at that one tip of having free people, and let's look at how this can help in the 4 things we're talking about. And I can go over these in more detail, but I want to point out that one tip helps each of these things, and I'm not sure if you guys realize how that get people in free helps, right? So let's look at increasing attendance in your classes from 20, 22, 25, and keep going up instead of seeing them dwindle, right? One of the reasons why classes dwindle down is because they don't have a way to continuously promote their product, right? And this is a way that you can give your students something that says, hey, give this to your friends and give them a free night of dancing. How awesome is that, to give people a free night of dancing, right? Like, most people want to share their friends and want to tell them, hey, you should come, but they can't give them a free night, right? So that's huge, to have other people helping you grow, right? And there's more things to have that you need to know how to inspire them to actually give out these flyers, but having that flyer in the first place is going to at least set you up for that, right? What about running your business so that competition is helpful instead of harming you, right? Now think about all those other flyers that are out there that don't have this on it, and people see that flyer. They say it takes 12 times for someone to see something before they commit to it, right? So someone's seeing all these other flyers out there going, oh yeah, maybe I should dance, but then they see yours and they keep it, right? That person is coming to your event, right? That person is no longer seeing your flyer and going, oh, that's cool, but then going to someone else's event. They go to your event, right? We're filling the holes in your business, because I can't tell you, I went, like I said, I go to these trainings with Blair Singer is one of the people that I like going with. Could you type in his name, Blair Singer? He's one of the people I've trained with that is the sales and marketing manager for Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad is Robert Kiyosaki. Could you also type in Rich Dad Poor Dad? It's a program that's the most successful program in the world for building entrepreneurs, right? It's the most famous program for it. And Rich Dad Poor Dad is amazing, great ideas to build your business. And when I went, I worked 5 days with this guy, and he was having us play volleyball. And while we were playing volleyball, he was just pointing out, like 2 hours every day we played volleyball, and he was pointing out how we had holes in our team. And he's like, you guys are not losing because your other team is better. You're losing because your team has holes, right? And my team decided to fill those holes, and we came up with a system to not let the ball fall through our holes, right? And we won that whole tournament. We killed everyone else because we filled those gaps while everybody else was still trying to be the best. They were trying to spike the ball and beat us. They were trying to beat the competition instead of just focusing on themselves. Your competition is not what beats you. You guys are what beats you. It happens all the time. Yeah, so that's another thing I want to look at is don't worry. Let's not worry about your competition. Let's make you guys so amazing that your competition doesn't even matter, right? In fact, they don't not only not matter, they will help you, right? And then when you're the big dog and you're the one that everybody goes, wow, those guys are amazing. What are they doing? They're going to want to collaborate with you because you're so much ahead of everyone else, right? They're going to want to work with you. So let's also look at leveraging the online media to grow your scene faster. Imagine taking that flyer and just giving it to the people online, right? That's something that we'll do in the program that I developed for you guys. But just giving it to your friends, saying, "Hey, pass this out to your Facebook friends," and if they print out a copy of it or bring it on their phone, they get their first night free, right? That would seriously make a difference. And of course, there's other things we'll look at, but at least do that. All right, let's look at what about where to find loads of potential new dancers, right? Well, right there, if you give your friends something that they can give to their friends and they're excited about giving to their friends, right? Then they're gonna give them to them, right? And then you've got all these potential dancers that are friends of friends, and word of mouth is one of the best ways to get people in the door. Right? And the fact that it's free for them, that's going to get them in the door. Now, how to convert them into students that love to dance, I don't know that the free dance flyer is something that's going to do that. I think we've covered some ways to do that already, but if you still have questions on that in the Q&A, we can work on it in the Q&A. All right, let's go on. So, with this program, I want you guys to inspire others, right? And that's something that is not always easy to do. It's not just give them the flyer. So with my program, with You Hire Me, we're going to do a class, and I am literally going to come in and inspire your students for you, right? You're going to learn how to inspire people to actually help out without making them feel like you're trying to sell them, right? You don't have to make people feel like, you know, oh, do this for me because you want to help me out. No, we're going to make it feel like they want to help themselves out, right? You're going to learn how to get massive momentum going if you hire me, right? Like serious momentum going. I mean, double your scene size momentum. Yeah, and the cool thing about this is I'm going to do it for you, so there's no mistakes, right? Not only do you get to see the system and learn how to do it so you can do it in the future, but I'm going to do it for you. And that's huge, having someone else come in, right, and promote your product, and not just anyone. We're talking about a world champion that's traveled to 233 cities, right, 35 countries. That's a huge deal when you bring someone else into your scene. You're saying this person's awesome, right, and then they're saying you guys are awesome, your organizer is awesome, we need to make this happen, right? So there's such a huge difference between trying to do it on your own versus versus hiring someone else to implement something for you. Yeah, so that's my suggestion is definitely think about hiring me for this today. We're going to go over some ideas of specifically how to inspire people, you know, and let's just brainstorm some stuff right now. I want to brainstorm, how could you guys grow your scene? What are ways that you would grow your scene? Okay? I want you guys to type in some ways that you would grow your scene into the right little side of this, you know, and examples might be, well, we could increase retention of people coming back, right? Or obvious one, we could increase the number of people attending, right? We could increase the community vibe, right? What are some other things that you could do to grow your scene? And while you're typing those in, I'm going to share a couple. When I go through this brainstorm, when I do the 2-hour class, here's a couple of the really amazing ones that come out of it. And these are not things that I created. These are things that are created by having done this with hundreds of different dance scenes and experiencing, and each scene has their own stuff. And so I'm going to share some really cool ideas with you now, but they're not going to be as cool as the ones that we create when I do it with your scene. And your scene gets enrolled in the ones they create. They don't get enrolled in the ones that I create. Okay? So one of the things I learned from doing this is creating an introduction culture, right? An introduction culture is one where it's just normal. The normal thing to do is to introduce yourself to other people, right? So when you see someone you don't know, you go, oh, hey, my name is Andrew. You know, what's your name? Talk to them for a couple minutes and get to know them, right? So if you want to introduce a culture of this, I use a technique that I call human automation. This is amazing. Human automation is where you implement something, then you ask someone to help you implement it, and you ask them to ask the person that they help implement to help implement. So it's a tiered process, right? So let me go through this example. I come to you, I say, hey, my name's Andrew, nice to meet you, you know, where you've been, things like that. Towards the end of the conversation, I go, by the way, just so you know, our culture here, what we normally do is if we see someone we don't know, we try to make it a goal of our night to introduce ourselves to at least one person, maybe 1 to 3 people each night that we don't know. That way, we continue to know people and get to know them, you know, or maybe we even reintroduce ourselves because it's not easy to remember people's names. But that's just what we do here. So if you could do me the favor of also going and introducing yourself to somebody that you don't know tonight, that would be great. But not only do that, but make sure that they know, you know, if you find out they're new, make sure they know that that's what we do here and that they can do the same thing and introduce themselves, right? So the cool thing about this is if you have 10 people, if you start doing this with 10 people, all of a sudden it's going to branch out and it's going to become your culture, and everybody's going to be doing this. You don't need, and not everyone, some people will fall through the cracks, but it's going to be the cultural norm so that you no longer have to make sure this happens, right? And that's what I love about human automation, is finding a way, and I'm very good at figuring this out, is how to make sure that once something starts, it continues and keeps going, right? Another thing that I will help you do if we work together is I'll look at your scene and look at what specific things do we need to implement and automate so that you don't have to worry about them. All right. Let's see. So some of the things you guys have been saying are, my question was, what are some things that we can brainstorm to grow your scene? And you could increase retention of people coming back regularly. You could do consistent flash mob demos. Exactly. And if someone in your scene wants to do that, if that comes up when we do a brainstorming class, someone will try to organize it. And you don't have to organize it. We get the scene to do it. That's another important thing to think about, is like, there's going to be a ton of ideas, but how do you get your people to actually do this for you? Distance discounts, right? If someone's coming from more than 30 miles away, you give them a discount. Absolutely. I used to say if anybody's coming from 50 miles away or more, they got in free for my dance. You know, because I valued those distance people and I wanted to encourage them. But I also had a setup to encourage them, because it doesn't help if they're coming on their own and they just randomly come in. That's something you got to think about, is does what you're doing make sense, right? So in other words, if someone just randomly shows up to your scene and they're happy to pay the $10, right, then you're losing money on that by giving them the distance discount, right? But it's not a big deal if you're actually seeking people and you're constantly getting, maybe you're constantly getting 10 people in to grow the scene and to have those out-of-towners, and they're all getting in free. But the only reason they're coming is because they know that you're doing this for them, right? And they wouldn't come otherwise. Then it doesn't really matter if 1 or 2 people sneak in, you know, get that in for free because that's just the policy, right? But it doesn't make sense if you're not harnessing it, right? It's just losing you money if only people getting for free are the people that would have paid anyway. Someone else said, Robert said, help everyone host would be a way to grow your scene. Absolutely, like having other people host instead of just one host, right? So also, what's another thing that was really powerful for me? We talked about the tip of the night, but maybe something, just so you guys know, when I give you these tips, there's more to them than that, right? Oh no, we talked enough about the tip of the night. Let's go with something else. Each one teach one. Each one teach one would be a great way to inspire people to improve their dancing and to grow your level of dance. It's not going to grow the numbers, but it's going to grow the level of dance, right? And so you could literally take 5 minutes out of each dance to go, okay, everybody in the room, you're going to spend, 1 minute teaching someone something. Go, right? And everybody gets a partner and teaches someone something. Okay, now switch, and the other person teaches them that same, something else. Now, there's going to be beginners in the room that are going to freak out and stuff like that, and you'll solve that as you go. You'll figure out ways to deal with that. But the idea is there's going to be enough people that have something to share that is going to be really valuable. And as you go, the habit is going to get there with people, and you're going to just be constantly having more information and people going, oh, wow, there's lots I can learn. But don't give them long enough to get perfect at it, right? You only give them a minute, just enough to inspire them and go, ooh, there's something I can work on in my dancing, and then move on, right? And you could rotate, have them try it with a couple different people, but doing each one teach one. Yeah, so these are the kinds of things that we come up with when we do the brainstorming your class thing. And the thing that I'm going to really stress about this is the whole point of this class is not just to come up with ideas, but to implement them. And if nothing else gets implemented, I guarantee what does get implemented is the flyers get put out. Because the way I set up the Growing Scene class is so exciting, and the energy is so high, people are happy and excited to pass out flyers for you. You'd be surprised. Like, we have people, I was doing a scene in Hilo, teaching in Hilo, and we had people show up to this class for us. It was a swing dance, grow the swing dance scene. But we had tango dancers show up. We had West Coast swing dancers show up, and they were all happy to pass out the flyers for the swing dance because they got so much information, so much value, and were so excited about what they learned in this Growing Your Scene class, right? So let's move on. Other things you're going to learn through the actual hiring meet bit, you're going to learn how to keep momentum so it doesn't die out. You're going to learn how to excite people to keep going and how to prove their efforts are working, right? You're going to learn all these things, and not only are you going to learn them, but I'm going to implement them for you for the first 2 months, making sure that it actually happens so that there's guarantee you are going to grow your scene, right? Now, we're also going to track growth. And I want to point out tracking growth is really important as well, because you never know how things are going to change. There was one scene that I worked with that that we did 2 different flyers for them, and this is something I recommend you do, is you do 2 different flyers, and there's something different on these flyers, right? And you pass the same amount of flyers out everywhere you go. 5 flyers of this, 5 flyers of that, right? And then when they come in the door, they're going to bring 1 flyer. They're not going to bring both, right? So you get to see which flyer worked better. And this is huge. You'd be surprised. This Eugene, Oregon scene, they had 51 flyers come in, I said, during that first week, or first 7 weeks, or sorry, 57 days. In the first 57 days, 51 people came in with flyers in hand, right? And out of those 51, 49 of them were the brown flyer, and only 2 were the blue flyer. That was huge for them to know which flyer is working better, right? These are the types of things we do in the Grow Your Scene class that I will work out with your web designer, is how do we create 2 flyers and test them so that we know, which flyer is working better, and then we'll keep doing that. Now, some of you might not even realize how big of a deal 5 more people per month can do. So I want to show you what specifically that can do. All right? So let's look at some income projections. If we have 5 new people every month except the first month. So if you look at this, you can ignore the week column, but you look month 1, new students none, month 2, 5, then month 3 you have 10 new students. Each week you're getting 5 new students. If you're charging $30 for a month of classes, right? Or maybe you have 4 classes, they're $10 each, but they don't come 1 week, right? But let's say you're getting $30 on average from each of these 5 people, right? Then you're making $150 every month from having 5 new people, right? So if you look, month 2 you get $150, month 3 you have 10 people, so you get $300, and it just keeps going up. All the way until month 12, you have 55 new people. You're making $650 in that month. So then the running total gets added up in the bottom. So by just getting 5 new people, you'll notice on month 2 you get only $150, but month 3 you have the $150 from last month plus the $300 for this month, so you get $450, and that goes up to $900 to $1,500, all the way up. In 1 year, by just getting 5 people each month, you'll have $9,900, right? That's huge, huge difference, and that's not counting all the different things that you can sell them, like events and live workshops and private lessons and intermediate classes, T-shirts, any other upsells, any other things that you sell them are just additional money on top of that, almost $10,000, right? Just by getting 5 more people. Okay, so another question I want to point out again, I've done this, I've shared this information with hundreds of scenes. The only scenes I've seen it make a difference in are the ones that have hired me to actually implement it. So do you want to do it on your own, or do you want to do it with my experience? I want you to seriously think, how much is it worth for you to make 10 grand 1 year and then have all the knowledge of how to do that again year after year, right? So let's see. Actually, I'm going to come back here. So the value of this is easily more than $9,900, right? Clearly more than that, because you're going to learn the concepts to be able to do it later. But I'm not going to charge $9,900, even though I know it's worth that much. I know very few people can afford that, and I want to make it available for everyone, right? So, oh, I know. I've got to, so I'm going to make it a little bit less, right? Actually, I'm going to make it a lot less, but how much less? Would it make sense to go to 5,000? I still think that's a little bit much for you guys. It's still definitely worth it. I mean, come on. in 1 year you'd be doubling your investment. Like, how many ways can you double your investment in 1 year, right? Like stock, nothing. There's no other way to double your investment in 1 year. So the normal price I should probably do is $19.97. This is kind of the classic price that's going around right now in all these types of things if you buy from a business to help grow your business or something like that. It's definitely, clearly a 5-time return on your investment. And that's just if you get 5 people showing up every month. What if you get 10? What if you get 20? Right? The scenes that I worked with, they've all, that was their minimum that they got. A lot of them blew up, right? A lot of them went from, what, I think 35 to 70 in 2 months was what one of them did, right? That's 35 new dancers in a month. So the price I'm going to give you guys is $9.97. If you hire me for this program, $9.97 is your price, and I'm going to give you guys some bonuses. But you know what? I know there's some of you out here right now that probably are just down to do this and ready to go. So I'm going to give you guys the option to go ahead and purchase right now. With my Double Your Scene program, you're going to see it pop up down below. And if you want to, click on that link, sign up now, and if you're one of the first 10, I'm going to guarantee you get the following things. And honestly, these following things are bonuses, right? Like, what I've shown you so far is worth way, way more than $9.97. So get on this now if you're interested and know you can afford it. If you need a little more convincing, a little bit more, there's things that I'm going to give you as bonuses for being the first 10. And that is, oh, by the way, to get the $1,000 discount, because normally I do charge $19.97 for this, you're going to need that promo code DYDS1000. So type that in, and you'll get the $1,000 discount, and it'll only be $9.97. But those of you that want more bonuses or need more convincing, like I said, my continued contact and inspiration to your community through Facebook for a full 2 months after the Skype class. That's me personally doing that, not you, right? I mean, you'll do it too if you want. I'm not going to stop you. But I will make sure that I'm on there every once in a while so that they're getting my face. They're getting a world champion, someone inspiring them that knows what they're talking about and saying, hey, let's pick this up. Let's keep going, you know? So I don't know how to value that. I put it at $300, but I'm probably going to spend more than an hour of my time on this, so it's definitely worth more than $300. So I highly recommend, you know, like, get registered. Check, well, let's just look at what else you're going to get. Full access to all Grow Your Scene documents, including all future updates. If you see down here on the right, we already talked about the flyer tips for classes and dances that I'm going to work with. But you're going to get a bunch of other things. And some of these are really simple. Some of the, like the comp list, is something that anybody can do. It's just a spreadsheet. It's no big deal. But I'm saving you time from having to create that, right? So I'm saving you, I don't know, that one is probably 20 minutes worth of time or something. It's simple. The door staff task list, that's something a little bit more intricate. That has a lot of details on what the door staff does when someone comes in and what the door staff does when someone leaves, to ensure that you're inspiring the people coming in and out of your door to grow the scene, right? And getting valuable feedback from them. So that one took me a while. I actually asked someone else to create this for me, and they came up with this huge list of things, and there was just so much stuff that just wasn't needed, and I really refined it to be like, how do we make this something really simple that anyone can do, right? Instead of a list of 20 tasks. Literally, it was like, I don't know if it was 20, it was probably 10. Or probably 10 tasks for the door staff that was just overwhelming, and it took forever to check people in when this person showed this to me when they used it. And I refined it down to like 4 things for when people come in, maybe 3 things when people leave. So definitely that. You're going to get this Double Your Scene presentation, which you're going to get if you stick around to the end of this anyway. But you'll have that there, easily found. The Facebook flyer group instructions, Facebook task group instructions, and I'll implement them for you. the feedback form so that you know exactly what to ask your students, to give feedback to know how to improve your classes, flyer tally forms to tally up the flyers, and it's all very simple so that the person at the door can just enter some very simple information on their own phone, right? And then boom, it goes into a system, and you can see what the flyers are tallying and which flyer is working best at one glance. That took me a long time to implement. The sign-in sheet, which another very simple thing. Welcome to Dance Plus are very simple, and this list will probably grow as we grow, and it'll get refined. I don't even know how to value this. 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000. I have no idea. Like, how much time would all of this take you, and how much time would it take to really refine it down to something smooth that works well, you know, without all the struggles? How much time do you want to put into it? It's your time you're valuing there. I don't know how to value your time. You've got to decide that. What else? So another thing, I'm going to be implementing the program for the first 10 people. I don't know how many people I can do this for. I'm going to cut it off at 10 for right now and work with those 10 people for a month, and then decide, like, can I add more people, or like, it might be 3 to 6 months before I can add more people. But honestly, my goal with this program is not to do this for people forever, right? I want to set it up in a way where someone pays $9.97 and they get all the information and they do it themselves, because that's easily worth it already. All the information that you're getting, to be able to just get that information and do it yourself is definitely worth this, right? But I'm going to do it for you to make sure, because I want to guarantee that you guys grow, and I want to have your testimonials so that when other people do this, they can see, hey, this program works as long as you implement it, right? I'm also going to give you a money-back guarantee, and that money-back guarantee is this. I guarantee after 4 months from the Skype class, so after we do this Growing Your Scene Skype class, or if you hire me to come out to your scene as well, we can do it live. But if you just do the Skype class with me, within 4 months, you will have an attendance increase of at least 5 more paying dancers on average for the next year. Or you will feel the program was clearly worth it anyway. The reason why I add that is because some people ask me to adjust the program a little bit so that the goal is no longer to have 5 more dancers attending or to grow their scene in a way. Sometimes the best thing for your scene is slightly different. So as long as if you're happy with it, then you're obviously not going to ask for your money back. But if you're not happy with it, or you don't get the 5 more paying dancers on average, if one of those things does not happen, you get your money back by only answering one question, and that is, what could I have done to improve your experience, right? If you look, I want to show you what that means money-wise, right? So let's say you grow 5 more students. Let's say first 3 months you get nobody. Month 4 you get 5 new students. And then each month after that, you just maintain those 5 new students, right? So or maybe you lose one, but you gain one. On average, you started with 10 students, now you're at 15, and you stay with 15 to the end of the year. That's what I'm guaranteeing. If you do that, you have an increase of income in $1,350. So it pays for your program already. Obviously, you guys are not going to shoot for that. We're going to shoot for the $9,900. We're not even going to shoot for the $9,900. I want you guys to make millions, right? I want you guys to make so much money that you never have to worry about hiring me for anything again. You can hire me for any program because you've got the money to do it, right? Or hire other people. I just want you guys to feel successful, not having to worry. And if you don't have the money right now, we can split it into 2 payments. It costs a little bit more that way, but you can do 2 payments of $600 or 3 payments of $450. The links will be, if you click that that button to grow your scene, the links are there. So you don't need to click links on this page. Just click the Go Big, click here's, add this, I think, what's it say, add to cart. Click that, and that'll take you to the thing. And it should just open up a new window. But if you want to right-click it, just to be sure, you can go ahead and right-click it. So you can do 2 payments or 3 payments. You can do, also I want to ask you guys now, actually, let's not even go over that yet. That's not for this Double Your Scene. What you just saw there is not for the Double Your Scene program. That's for something different. So right now what I want to do is I want to see if there's any questions on this program. If you're not buying this program right now, why not? What is going on that's keeping you from doing it? Because honestly, this is going to make a difference in your scene. I am going to make sure that it makes a difference. That is what I do. Like I said earlier, I go all in for things. If you're working with me, I'm going to go all in for you, and I'm going to try my best to make it happen. And if it doesn't, I'll give you your money back, right? So go ahead. If you're not sure why, if you have more questions or you're struggling with joining for some reason, type in why so I can answer those questions. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're just going to open up for general questions of growing your dance scene, so that you can ask any other things about growing your dance scene that don't pertain to this specific program. All right, let's see. Huh? Okay. These are Q&A. Also, just so you guys know, the types of questions that we can cover later that aren't necessarily in this, that haven't been covered in this program or maybe don't apply to this program are some simple ways to start going right now. If you've only got 10 people or no people, what are some simple ways to start? We can definitely talk about that. We'll guarantee I will set you up with a way. No matter where you are in your dance scene, I will find a way to get you going if you hire me. But maybe I can give you a couple more secrets to that as we go. Another thing we'll talk about in the Q&A is how to accommodate multiple levels of people in classes. We can also talk about drop-in included. Is the drop-in included in the door price, or should you charge more for it? We can, and again, all these things, if they pertain to growing your scene, we will cover them in detail, and we will find out what's important for your scene. And that's one thing I want to point out, is that every scene is a little bit different, and the answers that I'm giving you guys are blanket answers. They're good ideas, but they might not be the thing that works for your scene. And that's why I recommend hiring someone to come in and really look at your scene and grow it, because these things don't necessarily make sense with the way you're running your scene. Okay, so Amy, you say you would have to check in with your current organizers before committing. Robert says we don't have that much to invest right now. So I just want to cover these things real quick for you guys. Not having enough to invest right now. I get that. I do. Trust me, I do. I have been there. I have been broke. I have not been able to do things. But I will tell you that in my experience, it's going to stay that way if you don't make change in your life, right? It stays that way until you make change. And there's ways to get around not having the money, right? If you're crazy like me, put it on your credit card. That's what I did. I literally, when I decided I wanted to be a dance instructor, I traveled the world to let people know that, hey, I'm out here, I'm a dance instructor. I spent $9,000 on my credit card to get out there. But you know what? The next year, I had made it all back and a ton more. Literally, it made it all back and a ton more. Now, I'm not suggesting you put it on your credit card. If you're worried about money, things like that, it's definitely an option. But there's other options too. You could get your group, if you have 5 other people that all want to grow the scene and you're all passionate about it, you can get together with them and each split $200 each to grow the scene, right? What are some other ways? Asking people for, there might be one person that would just be happy to invest $1,000 and be like, yeah, just give me a return on it when you get your money back, you know? So the only thing I want you to think about is if you don't have the money, find a way to get the money, or else you'll probably still be in that situation later. I've been that way. I've been there, and it didn't happen. And there's certain people that said the same thing to me, and I went, you know what? Fine. The $5,000 program, I didn't have $5,000 at that time, but Blair Singer was like, you're not going to have it if you don't have it now. This is going to teach you how to get it. And he was right. I made $3,000 at his program within a couple of hours of doing his program. I had made $3,000. You know, so I almost made it all back right then. Yeah, another scene. You know, I mean, there's so many examples of this. If you force yourself to find money, you will make it up. Or I shouldn't say that. I should say that's how I am. If I go, you know what? I just spent $1,000 on my credit card, and I need to find a way to make that back in a couple of months, so that I'm not charged extra, I get it, and I do that. If you're not that type of person, if you're the type of person that if you spend money, like it's just getting you further and further into debt, then don't put money on your credit card. Find another way. Get some friends in it and do it that way. But find a way. Amy, you would have to check in with my co-organizers committing. So another thing I just want to point out, like, again, yes, go for it. Check in with your co-organizers. If you're going to be spending the group money, then do that. Some of you might be just think about this, though. You might be passionate about it today to do it regardless of whether they fund it or not, right? And they're probably not going to be bummed about you growing the dance scene and helping them fund it. So I would say if you're willing to put the money in yourself, do that, because I am only taking 10 people. And I already got people on the call yesterday that joined. I didn't check to see how many joined. And there's like 10 people on call today. And I'll probably be advertising this again in the next couple of days. So I'm limiting it to 10 because I don't have that much time, and I'm promising to implement it for you guys. And there's no way that I can spend all the time implementing it for more than 10 if I don't try it out. So that's one thing I'm going to say is don't wait too long for this. Obviously, you can join, like, save that link to that web page, and you can join another day, or that link will be available if you come to the replay. You can find that link again. And check it out, but don't wait too long because those spots will fill up, and I will not, I'm not going to do more. And once I do those 10, it's my goal to automate it so that you have to do it yourself. It should still work, but then it's going to require you to do the work. Emily says, I still don't understand the structure of the program. If I commit to the program, it means that I'm in a Skype class with you. Is it a group class or one-on-one? Is it a visit from you to my scene included? It is not a scene included thing, no. You can hire me to come to your scene, and I can show you some options for that, and that definitely is very valuable. A lot of people bring me out to their scenes, but that's a separate thing that I do different. This is a Skype class for sure. The Skype class, though, is for me to integrate with your group. So it's not a one-on-one Skype class. It's a group Skype class. And the idea of it is for me to inspire your people to start passing out flyers, right? Passing out flyers in person and online and things like that. And I am very good at this. That's really, like, I don't want you guys to focus on all the little nitty-gritty details of it, even though I can go into them with you if you want to. I want you to focus on what is the outcome. The outcome is doubling your dance scene size, right? Or, I mean, maybe it's not going to double right away. Maybe it'll grow like 30% in the first 3-6 months, something like that. But it's growing your dance scene and bringing you more people to dance. It's freeing up time for you, right? If you want it to be, right? It's taking time out of your hands so that you don't have to do all the work. So that's what I'm doing is, yes, I'm holding a class. I'm going to be talking with your designer, or flyer designer, and that's something I should talk about requirements. One of the things you do need to have is someone willing to design a flyer for you, right? But that's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is send an email saying, hey, I need someone to design a flyer. It doesn't have to be the best flyer in the world, because I know how to work with somebody in order to get the flyer to work. I just want somebody that's willing to do the dirty work of actually doing the things that I suggest, right? So I'm going to talk with that person. You can be in on those conversations, but I recommend that you don't waste your time with it. You just like take a quick glance at the end product and okay it and say, yeah, that's great. Let's go with it. So that's the main thing I'm doing for you, is really working on designing these flyers so that there's something that people will pass out and that will bring you in new dancers, and then inspiring people to pass them out, right? And more importantly, getting people in the door. Yeah. And like I said, you guys can do this on your own. Like, I've given you enough to get the idea going. It's just a matter of how much of a struggle do you want to put? How much of your time do you want to put into this? Because it is hundreds of hours of work of doing things in order to figure out the way that works the best. If you still have more specific questions, feel free to ask them, but that's what I'm offering in this program. And like I said, money back guarantee. I have known, Joel says, I have known Andrew for a very long time, and I've admired his commitment to swing era dancing and his constant energy in motivating others, Skype Live or otherwise. Thank you, Joel. Yeah, thank you. And if you check out that testimonial page, you'll see hundreds more people that are saying similar things. I am going to make this work for you guys. Emily asks, okay, so is this the right program for me, being that I have no team at the moment and will be starting from ground zero, or should you and I discuss another option program you have to offer? I mean, that is what we do in the is we make this program work for you, and if we can't, I'll refund your money, but there's a way that I'm going to find. But that's the thing, is I'm going to create your team for you. You do need, you ideally would already be doing a weekly class with a lesson. But to be honest, if you're not doing that, I will find a way to make that work. I know there's a scene in Slovenia that came to me, and they wanted to do the program. And when we talked, we realized, you know, that's another thing you're going to get. You're going to get live talks with me when they're needed to figure out what we need to do to grow your scene, right? And so that what happened with them is they talked with me and they said, you know, we're just doing stuff in bars. And I was like, okay, well, with bars, that's not necessarily the optimum thing. So we reworked it so that they are doing the program to not go in bars, but to do it in a place where they can charge money and then have a dance afterwards. Charge for a class and then have a dance. So I guess one thing that will make it easy is if you already have a class with a dance. Yeah, and ideally you have some students, right? If you don't have, like, if we have that first hour consultation and we realize, you know what, like, you just are not set up for this and there's no way that you can get set up, then I'll refund your money. And I haven't done this enough times to know specifically what won't work, because it hasn't not worked yet. Every time I've done it, right, and I've done 5 scenes so far, all 5 scenes, it's worked. So it's possible that this might not work for you. You might be in a situation where we go over the details and we go, whoa, you know, this just isn't going to happen. But even if it's running classes at your home, like, that's an option. I will find, you know, we'll brainstorm something to make it work. All right, Robert says, how do we make people listen when we go to other dances and make announcements about our dance? Well, I say that's a question for afterwards, because that's not to do with this program as much. So I'm going to save that question because I don't want you guys focusing on stealing from others, right? Which is essentially what you do if someone else has spent the time and energy to grow their dance scene. Like, if they're willing to collaborate and they want to collaborate with you, sure, do that. right? And then maybe we'll talk about some ways to make that work. But I know a lot of scenes that try to do this, and the other scene doesn't really want to work with them. They're happy on their own, right? And if that's the case, like, I mean, regardless of whether that's the case or not, I want to focus you in a place where you're bringing in people that want to dance with you, that are excited about you. And so we're going to focus on a different group of people. It might start with some of those people in that other scene, but I don't want to force you guys into a situation where you're poaching the dancers from another scene. I want you to grow dance in general and find dancers that aren't dancing right now, you know. And that'll be more of a secondary option to go to other dance scenes and grow there too. And it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that, like, if that's your plan, you're going to have problems if you're not doing other things. And I would not implement that until you've implemented my other program. I don't see any other questions from anyone, so I'm going to give about 20 seconds, and then we're going to, or maybe 30 seconds, just in case someone comes up with one or two other things. And then we'll go into the Q&A on just some random other topics that we mentioned. And at this point, you know, like, if you need to head out or something like that, like, I've given you the double your scene stuff. You've got the replay for another week or so. You know, this is really just some time for us to chat on other ideas that don't have to do with the specific growing your scene program that I'm doing. So we'll go ahead and start with Robert's question. How do we make people listen when we go to other dances and make announcements about our dance? Okay, so first, this assumes that you're allowed to make those announcements. Someone is excited about you making those announcements. If they're excited about that, then I would want them to announce me in a way that gives me clout, right? Like, so if they're giving me space, they need to not just be like, stop the dance and then I start speaking. They need to introduce me. They need to say, hey, you know, this is Andrew. He's got this other dance. It's really cool. I recommend, you know, hearing what he has to say, right? And if you have qualifications, like, have them list qualifications, right? If you're really good at demos, do a demo before you make your announcement, right? Even just a short 30-second demo, something that really gives them that, like, you have value, can be something. Do a tip of the night for them, but show them value. Yeah, like, I think the important thing is to show value. And then the other thing is, why should these people go to your dance? That's what I would talk about then. And I would look at, like, who are the people I'm targeting in this audience? Are they the beginners? Are they the intermediates? Or are they the advanced? And let's talk about that. Yeah. And Joel, don't worry. Like, thank you for saying the exact same thing. It just reinforces. Please feel free. Everybody, type in your comments. If someone types it in, and I say it, I won't necessarily talk about it as well. But it helps reinforce things the more you add. So please help others out by sharing your ideas as well, right? So back on to what we're talking about. Give them something of value, and then talk to them when you're trying to tell them about your thing. Tell them about it in a way that makes them see why they would want to go, right? So an intermediate dancer might want something different than a beginner. You know, maybe your dance night is for intermediates and up. Maybe it's not, you know, you don't advertise to the beginner crowd. So maybe that's your reason. It's not what I would recommend, but it's possible. If you had a huge scene, then I would recommend it, right? If you had 300 plus people showing up 3 different nights of the week, then that's when I would go, okay, you need a dance where it's only 100 people showing up and it's the best of the best, right? And you don't advertise to anyone else but the best of the best. So that's my suggestion there. If you make an announcement, give them value so that they have a reason to listen to you. They experience value, and that value can just be, it could even just be the person talking you up and giving you value, saying, wow, this person's, you know, a champion dancer, they won this competition, they've organized this and that, you know, whatever it is, they've brought in the, even just bringing someone in, maybe you brought in a world champion or you brought in somebody, that gives you clout, right? This person brings in some of the best dancers in the world, right, to do things. So anything that gives you that value, and then explain to them why your thing is valuable. Because if it's just another night of dancing, it might not be worth it. Might be, but it might not be. So recognize that. But don't make that your only thing. Find your own ways to bring people in. All right, the other questions I had, where'd my piece of paper? There it is. Simple ways to start up. So if you're starting up, you don't have, you know, any, let's say you don't have anybody in your dance scene. That's what, when I moved to Thailand, I had 0 people interested. And here's the thing that sucks about that this is one of the biggest reasons to hire me, and one of the reasons why I started this program is because when I went to Thailand, I realized without anybody else there, there was nothing but myself to incentivize myself, right? So there was no reason to grow. Nobody else going, come on, help us out, grow the scene. That'd be awesome. It was just me and my girlfriend at the time going, oh, this would be a cool idea. It's a fun experiment. But you know what that did? It made us lazy. Like, we spent so much time going, should we go out dancing tonight and show people this dance? Or should we stay home and snuggle in bed? And a lot of times we chose snuggling in bed because we didn't have anyone else committed to growing. But what we realized after a while was, you know what? We need motivation. And so we started having people coming in, oh, Amy, before you go, hold on. Amy, get them to watch some of this as well. Like, hold a meeting and have them watch this, because you talking about it is going to be different than me talking about it, right? So I recommend sharing that with them and letting them see what this is so they know the value that it has, because it's really hard to tell a group of people to spend money. I can't tell you how many people, like, I give them something, they're totally excited, they go to their group and they're like, oh, my group doesn't want to do it. Of course they don't. They didn't spend an hour and a half realizing why it's so valuable. So if you have to check with other people, share this with them. And I don't know the logistics of sharing this with people, like, and whether, like, I should be, you know, you guys paid $20 for this. Maybe you should be charging them something for this. Maybe they should be paying me something. I don't know. I'm going to just say, share it with them. At the end, like, if they felt it was valuable, you can send a donation to smoothsavoy@gmail.com. And I'm typing it into the chat. Send a PayPal donation to that. I'm not going to track it or anything. And if you guys felt that it was valuable, you know, but you're not implementing it, great. If you ended up implementing it, well, the donation doesn't need to be there, right? You got your or I'm getting my payment through that. But if you don't hire me, think about giving me a donation instead of just sharing this information with a bunch of people and then using it without anything else. I would appreciate that. And yeah, I don't know, like I said, maybe $20 each. I don't know. If you guys feel it's more valuable, pitch in more. If you feel it was less valuable, pitch in less. What I do ask is, no matter what, if you share it with people, tell me what your experience is. So, you know, I shared it and nobody wanted to pitch in any money. Okay, at least I know that. That's better than me knowing nothing, right? So share with me your experience and how many people you had come and how much they donated, so I get an idea of at least whether that's a worthwhile thing for me to do in the future. I can't hear Jackie and you, Joel. I can't hear any of you guys right now. There is a way for me to let you guys talk to me direct, and that would be kind of fun. If you want to do that, I can. Where is Uber Conference? There it is. I'm going to pop in a phone number for you guys where you can actually call in and talk to me, and we can chat live. Why is it not working? There we go. Uber conference. And give me just a second for that, and you can call in. We can talk live. Actually, can I do that? Yeah, I can. The phone number is 213-992-5667. Can someone type that in for me? Because it's kind of hard for me. Can someone type in again? Here it is. 213-992-5667. If anybody hasn't typed it in yet, please, someone take it on. 213-992-5667. And the PIN is 10183. Please type that in as well, 10183. I'm going to call that number real quick. 213-992-5667. So that's a number where we can all chat together and hear each other. The only thing is it's going to be off time with what you see here. So just know that. 10183 is the PIN. Okay, back to... Ah, man, it's not working. I don't know, it might not work. For some reason it's not working. Oh well, if someone else gets it to work, let me know. I'm not gonna... I'm gonna try it one more time. What, Joel, what were you talking about? I didn't know what you were specifically talking about. That you said, oh my gosh, I'm just talking about this. Okay, while we're waiting to see if this... Yeah, I don't think that's working. Okay, let's just go on to the other things and you can type it in. I'll try to work that out at a future call or something. Simple ways to start up, how to accommodate... Oh, I know what I wanted to share with you guys next. And that's... I'm also thinking about doing like some sort of thing where we get on a subscription call. A subscription like this, where you get on a call like this and you ask questions, and it's just a Q&A. You can write in your questions ahead of time, and I'll answer them. And this would be a subscription plan where you pay, I don't know, like $100 a month or $50 a month, something like that. And you guys ask the questions, and maybe we work on different things other than growing your scene. Maybe we'll work on something else that's not in my growing scene program. And my question to you guys is, how much would you pay for that per month to get on once a month? You know, and if you can't make the call, you just write in the questions and you get to watch the replay. So no matter what, I'm going to answer your questions, but there will be just one call a month where we do that. What would that be worth to you guys, a call like this, where we answer questions like that? Would it be $100, $50, $25, or other? And I'm going to pop in a poll, and you're going to see that poll in a second. So let's see. And please think about honestly what you would spend, because if you say you'd spend 100 but you don't sign up, that's gonna make it less valuable for me, right? It's not really gonna help. And if you spend more, or if you're willing to spend more but you say less, well, I might not do it, because really it depends. Like, it's got to be worth my time to actually spend a couple of hours. And I get paid a lot to teach dance. I get paid $300 an hour for this stuff. So, you know, I'd like to have $600, you know, 10 people on the call at $60 each would make that totally worth my time, you know. But if it's 25 people at 5 people at $25, that's probably not something I'm going to want to organize. So let me know what you can do or what you would do. You know, if I were to set that up in the next month or so, what would you do per month? Yeah, and let's go back to the chat. Let's go. So you said to Jackie, I need motivation. I expect that you wanted Thailand. You went to Thailand and did this, right? Um, nice. And then, so exactly what you were saying was in line with what we want, need. Awesome. Snuggling on the couch versus growing the scene. Exactly. With Jackie, not Andrew. Yeah. So this is the stuff like that happens, and this happens all the time. It's hard to get motivated, right? It's much easier to do it for someone else. And I tell you, like, it's easy for me to do it for someone else. Joel, if you hire me, it's going to be easy for me. I will not sit on my butt because I have already promised it to you, and you're relying on me, right? Whereas if I do it for myself, I might be a little more lazy about it, you know? Uh, Emily, you asked, what do the calls provide? What do you mean the calls? Did you mean the calls, the subscription plan that we're doing now? If you meant that, then they would provide exactly what we did today, but more like today I also really went into like a program that you can hire me for. With that, we would just be talking about like ways to improve. So it would be more the Q&A. You guys wrote in some questions like, what are some simple ways to start up? You know, or what were some of the ones we answered already earlier? One of them was how do we inspire dancers to come to classes? You know, how do we inspire dancers to keep coming back? So my suggestion, or that's what these calls would be, you ask whatever question you want, I get in and I answer them for you. You know, and maybe we develop some programs out of that. Maybe we go, you know, oh, there's this idea of, you know, like we'd really like to what's an example of something? So we've grown the dance scene, all the newcomers, but now we want to grow intermediate and advanced dancers, and we want to improve people's dancing. Or maybe you want to improve people's teaching, right? Say, how do I improve teaching? That's a concept I could talk for hours and hours on, right? And I do teacher trainings for that. So in a subscription plan, you could ask specific questions, and we could go through it, and I could give you very clear ideas on improving. But then at the same time, maybe we also develop a program out of that where it's like, okay, you want me to come help your teachers get this concept. So here's how I'll do it. And we provide a program out of that. And that would be something that you'd have to pay extra for. But the subscription plan would be giving you ideas like the ones I've already given you. So it wouldn't involve me having to do anything other than show up on the call and give you guys ideas. It's basically getting firsthand, like getting to talk to someone that travels all the time and knows how to grow dance scenes, knows how to improve teaching. You know, I don't just know how to grow dance scenes. I know how to improve your teaching. I know how to improve your dancing. There's a lot of things I know how to do. So that's what this would do. This, and to be honest, it wouldn't be about improving your dancing. If you want to improve your dancing, I'm going to share something else with you guys to show that. I'll do a little pop-in real quick. If you want to improve your dancing, check out this pop-in. It's about growing, like it's a beta test that I'm doing to improve your dancing, basically, and it's online. So there's video lessons, there's like written out stuff, and it'll go into all the details of what it is. But the base idea is if you click that link, you'll get a bunch of information on how to improve your dancing online with me. And we actually do 2 monthly live coaching calls where we just talk about improving your dancing or improving your teaching. I do improving your teaching on that as well, but I don't do growing your scene stuff on that. But if you want to improve your dancing or your teaching, check out that option. That's what this call does. That's what this option does. Joel asked, have I thought about Kickstarter? Have I used it, seen success? I actually have done one Kickstarter campaign for Dance Ninjas, the thing that I just showed you guys there, the beta test, it didn't succeed in, like, it didn't actually get funded. It did help. Like, I did get a lot of people subscribing to the beta test, but my goal with it was, like, right now it's in beta, and what that means is it's not perfect, right? The video lessons are lessons of me teaching a class live to 20 to 50 people, you know, and when you're learning online, some of the things that are in that class don't need to be in the video, right? So beta testers have to sit through the 1 minute of admin that I go through, you know, at the beginning of class to introduce people to who I am, or how to rotate, you know, or teach them new rotations, because I have a lot of different rotations I do. So there's things like that that aren't needed that are in the videos, and that's why it's in beta. And my goal is to get it out of beta, but I got to hire someone that does video editing in order to do this. So that's what I was thinking. What was I saying? How much would you... sorry, I'm going to get rid of this screen and go back to talking to you guys because that's distracting me. All right. So when I'm talking about what was I just... Oh, the beta test. That's what it is. And when I did a Kickstarter, I did it for that, and it did help. It did grow it. So it might be a good way to do this, is to do a Kickstarter for it and make it happen, and then I'll have more people to make it worthwhile. So that might be the way I go. I'm not sure yet. It does take time to do a Kickstarter. That's the thing I learned, is like I tried to do a Kickstarter in 1 month, but the Kickstarter, it took longer than a month. It took I did it in a month and a half, but I should have taken 3 months to prep it if I wanted it to succeed. And there's a lot of things, like I had to go through the process once. Now that I know the process, I could probably make it succeed. And I do plan to do another one for the beta test. And I could do one for this. I don't know, but it is a thought. I am excited about that concept. It is a cool idea. But I should say, if you're thinking of doing a Kickstarter, it's not a surefire thing, and it's not something where, like, oh, well, I'll just do this and it's going to be easy. It takes a lot of time to prep it, and it costs a lot of money to prep it. I mean, a lot of your time and money and effort. So if you're going to prep one, realize that it's not necessarily just a cakewalk. Okay, let's go back to the questions you guys had. I don't know if I answered this one. Simple ways to start up if you're a startup. I mentioned one of the things that I do when I was in Thailand is I asked other people from other scenes to come visit me, right? So one time we had one girl. She came. She was from Sweden. She was traveling around. She visited my scene, and during that like 3 days she was there, my girlfriend and I were so inspired. Like, we were like, oh, we want to show you all these different places, and we want to dance, and we got out and we were dancing all over the place. And that's really the first time that people started getting interested in us, was because they saw it wasn't just me and my partner. It was something that you could do with anyone, you know. And we really did. We danced with all sorts of different people, and they were all excited about it. So that kind of kick-started us, was getting someone else in, you know. So if you're at zero, you have no people, invite people from different towns. And I got someone from Sweden to come to Thailand, so don't think you can't get someone from a nearby town or even a state away. I mean, that's how exchanges were born. Lindy exchanges, they were born because there was a scene that just had a few people, and they're like, we want people to come dance with us. So they invited people from the other scene, and they took them and toured them around town, showed them all the cool sights of their town, you know. And it can be literally as little as 1 people, or once we got this going, we also did it with the Bangkok dancers, and I think it was like 6 or 8 dancers that came and visited us, all crashed on our floor, and we talked about dance all day, you know. And I set up things for them to have fun, you know. We showed them town. We had good food. We had like classes where we all talked about things, how to improve our dance scenes. But we were out there passing out flyers with people from other dance scenes so that we could start our dance scene. And it worked. We got students. That was what did it for us. You know, within less than actually it was probably only 2 weeks of doing that, maybe even only one. I don't remember exactly, but we had like 8 students right from that. Just boom. And that's how you get things going. And then you get those 8 students, get 8 more. Unfortunately, we were lazy. We got those 8 students right at the end of it. You know, we got them for like 2 weeks, and I didn't even think about, oh, we should get them to get more people to do this. You know, I didn't have time to think about that. So everything for me started to happen right at the end. You know, but I learned from that, and I know if I go do it again, it would be better. You know, that is definitely something, and I've done it again, just I've done it with small scenes now instead of doing it on my own, which is easier. Helping someone else is way easier than helping yourself. Let's see. Other things, you can also just do classes in your home. That's what we did. We cleared out a space in our home, and we just held classes there. You know, we only had 6 people to start, so we didn't need a place. Once you have 6 to 8 people, if you get your home gets crowded, go to a bar. You know, and ask the bar, hey, if we bring you people, like, are you down to let us use your space to teach our lesson? And I've seen a lot of scenes start that way. And then, you know, once you got those people, you go somewhere else. Just make sure, I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to improve. Just be sure, as you're doing it, you're always looking, how is it working? How can I improve it? Right? Because you are going to go through struggles. Especially if you're doing it on your own, and the key to doing it on your own is just be committed to finding ways to solve your problems. Yeah. Okay, another question was how to accommodate multiple levels in classes. This is really a teacher training topic, and if you want to get into a lot of detail on this, jump on that pop-in that I gave you and be a beta tester, because I can go over, every week I'll go over a different way. Like, you're going to have different questions on things that are going to pop up. So it's really hard for me to answer that. It's kind of blanket statement. How do I get better at teaching dance is kind of how I hear that, because that's what I do. I teach to multiple levels every day. And so I've got a ton of tricks. Let's see if I can give you some right off the top of my head. I mean, personalize it, right? You've got 100 people in your class, but only 5 of them are really top-notch dancers, right? Oh, or you got 20 people in your class, and only 2 of them are top-notch dancers. So when you're doing your class, you're teaching to the whole group, but occasionally you need to see that this is easy for somebody, and you need to give them more. Right? So in class, you can personally go up to them and be like, oh, you're doing really good on this. How about you try, you know, taking it and doing it in a new move? You know, use that same concept somewhere else, or try it like this. But give them a personal way to improve their dancing. I would recommend even doing it to the whole group and saying, you know, Tom is getting this down. And if you feel you're at Tom's level, and this is easy for you, then try out doing this, right? And the cool thing about that is Tom feels like, oh, I'm special. He gets his personal information, but you also give other people the idea that Tom, this is where you want to get. You want to get to where Tom is. If you're not there, keep doing what you're doing. If you are there, right, then move on and do this. That way, if you didn't recognize someone else, you don't have to point them out. They can pick themselves out. Emily says, I have room to start in my home. I also have access to dance studios for $10 an hour. So you've got that's it right there. At $10 an hour, that means you need 1 person to show up to your dance to make it break even, right? I mean, you're going to need to spend money on flyers. Let's not get you wrong there. Like, flyers are going to cost probably $100 to $300, depending on how you want to go with it. So that is, darn it, I should have explained that ahead of time. That is something that you're going to need to do, is spend money on flyers. And and you're going to have a room, right? But your house can be perfect to start. I'm trying to think, is there any other money? There's no other money other than hiring a designer to create those flyers and designing those sorry, not designing, and printing them and shipping them. Those are going to be your costs. So you're looking at somewhere between $100 and $500, depending on how grassroots you want to do it. Or, I mean, yeah, you could print them at home for free. I've seen people find ways to get it done for free at first. I don't recommend it, but if that's the way you have to go, that's the way you have to go, you know? Print them out on your own printer, things like that. Yeah, so actually that isn't a requirement. You could do it all for free. I just don't recommend it. And I haven't worked with anyone yet that has been so desperate that they wouldn't take the time out once I explain to them why it's so important. But at the same time, if you're at that stage, I will find a way to make it work. You know, we can print them on regular paper. It works. Let's see, what was another question? Multiple levels. Yeah, so I covered that with one thing, but there's other things too. I'm blanking on it right now. We need to more specifically get into what are the issues that you're having with your scene. You know, what specific problems are you having that when you try to teach to multiple levels, you know, are the beginners getting lost? Are the advanced dancers getting bored? Why are they getting bored? You know, a lot of times it has nothing to do with the content, but more about how you're delivering the content. You know, like I take classes all the time for a lot of reasons, but I'm in a class right now, and it is killing me how slow the class is going. And this has nothing to do with, I mean, it does have to do with the fact that I'm more advanced than the others, but even the beginners, like, they're not getting their money's worth because the person is letting everyone else derail their class. So what I mean is people are asking question after question after question, and they're just answering questions all day long. They're not actually getting the people to do anything and to actually get results, right? So even me, like I'm taking a beginner class, I'm happy to do beginner steps over and over and over, but I want to do them. I want to actually get them into my body, you know? And it kills me when I'm in a class when I just, they just let the class take over the whole time. So I guess the tip there would be don't let your students run your class. You know what questions are important and what questions are not, so don't let them decide for you, right? And so the way to do that is someone asks a question. If you already answered one question or you already gave one tip, they should be working on that one tip, right? Because people can't work on multiple things at the same time. So once you give them a tip, if someone asks a question that's not to do with that, like how to do that tip, then tell them, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it after we practice this, right? Or let me answer that to you personally, but let me get everyone else going. I even say that before. When someone raises their hand, someone goes, I have a question. I go, great, hold that question. I'll be right there for you, but let me get everyone practicing. Everybody starts practicing. I go up to them personally. They tell me their question. Then I can decide whether that's a question that everybody should be hearing or whether that's a question that's only important for them, right? So control your questions. Okay. I see a question here. I have a question about Infusionsoft. I'm considering it for my Pilates studio business and then could use it to grow my dancing too, right? Does Infusionsoft handle money transactions, or do you use another platform for that? Infusionsoft handles money somewhat. I definitely recommend it. It's amazing. To tell you, I literally bought Infusionsoft 2 years before I ever started using it, and I was paying $300 a month for this product without ever using it. But I did that because I saw its value. I was like, oh my God, this thing's brilliant, but I'm not going to use it unless I pay for it and start getting hurt by it, right? So I paid, and it wasn't until 2 years later that I was like sick and tired of paying for this and not using it that I started using it. And so that was something that I found really valuable, was just going for it, and now I use it all the time. What it does is it basically allows you to segment your emails so that not everybody gets every email. Certain people get some emails, other people get others. So like with my beta test program that I'm doing, you guys aren't getting hardly any emails on that, but there's some people that are getting daily emails, weekly emails, monthly. It really depends where they are in the program. And I was able to set that all up through Infusionsoft. It's not the easiest program, so it's not necessarily a program that I recommend like buying right away. It might be smarter to go with something like MailChimp, that's free and easy to use, and it doesn't have all the power that the other one does. And I put it in the comments there, MailChimp. But it does kind of the basic things you need, which is to get email blasts out to large groups is the first thing you need to do. And I think you can kind of segment those groups, but you just don't have the power Infusionsoft has. But yes, Emily, you could definitely use it for your Pilates studio. You could use it for both, and you can segment things out so that people that get Pilates stuff don't get the other stuff, right? It is absolutely amazing. If you want Infusionsoft, please use my link because I am an affiliate, and I'll get a lot. Like I think they give me like a free month, which is $300 for me. So that's a good chunk. If you use it, I get that that thing, and I also get possible bonuses of signing up for iPads and all sorts of cool things, or getting free iPads. But my link for that I will give you in a second. Teresa, where do we download the slides? Great question. It is in, I'm going to pop that up one more time. It's in the Double Your Dancing program. So if you click on that link that says add to cart, that go big, add to cart, that will take you to my page to sign up for the Double Your Dancing program. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of it, there's something that says click here to get the slides. That's where you get the slides, and that'll open up a new page. You can probably download the slides. I'm not 100% sure if you can or not, but at least you have the link that you can come back to later. Maybe bookmark it or something, and you can come back to that link to view those slides. The other thing, oh, let me go back, attendee. MailChimp can be free. And if MailChimp isn't free, like it depends on how many people you have. Once you get to 1,000 or 10,000 or something like that, it stops being free. But MailChimp can be free. And if it's not, if for some reason they changed it, there's 100 other programs like it. Constant Contact is one. There's tons of different things that do similar things. I really liked MailChimp when I was using it, so that's what I would recommend. Yeah, Emily, do you already have my affiliate link for Infusionsoft, or do you need me to find it? It'll only take me a minute to find it, but I'd rather do it later if you do need me to. I'm going to move on to the next topic for right now. The next one was drop-in, included in door price versus premium charge. So which is better, I'm guessing? Do you include it? Do you charge the price $5 for the class and it includes the dance, or is it $5 for the dance and then an extra $5 for the class? Honestly, there's a ton of different ways, and it doesn't really matter in my experience which way you do it. So I would test ways out and see which way works for you. The way that I recommend, I mean, it really depends on the scene. When I look at what they're already doing, I try to work with the scene, what they're doing, and improve on what they're doing rather than change a bunch of things up. I do think it's important that they're paying for something and that they recognize value in it. And if they're paying for the whole thing or paying for one, it creates a different dynamic. So if you have them pay for the class and the dance is free, you're saying the class is valuable, the dance is less then maybe a little less valuable, right? But at the same time, you encourage them right after that class to start going to the dance, which is important. You want them, like, after that class to go to the dance. So for me, maybe you charge $10 for the class. Maybe the dance is only, and it includes the dance. And if they just come to the dance, it's $7, right? So it's $3 more to take the class. Maybe that's a good way to go. But the key thing, though, is first night free. So no matter what they're paying for on other nights, their first night is free, right? Everything, the class and the dance, because you want them to experience that party, that you want them to get in there, have that class, go, wow, this is cool, I can do this, and then get on the dance floor and start being able to do it, right? And that's another program, that's another thing. If you're interested in figuring out how to do that, I would join for that beta test that I was talking about, because there's a lot of things that people do that make it hard for someone to get on the dance floor right away. And you'll be able to download a class that literally gets people from, like, starting to dance, and it doesn't matter what dance, tango, Lindy Hop, salsa, blues, it doesn't matter what dance you do. There is a class that you can teach for any of those that gets them on the dance floor their first night and makes them feel like they can actually do this dance. Maybe they're not perfect, but they can dance. Yes, my affiliate link should be on that Facebook post. So if you have access to that Facebook post, that would be good, Emily. Yeah. And if you're still around at the end of the call, I can do it there. Just send me an email and ask me for it again if you can't find it, and I will get it to you that way. Next question, the distance from the city center, how to get people from far away. Okay, so this is something honestly I would not try to do. I would not focus on getting people from far away. I would focus on getting people from your nearby area. People from far away will come, it just wouldn't be my focus. And why? Why would I do that? There's a place, Swing Patrol. I don't know how many of you know of Swing Patrol. Swing Patrol is the biggest dance company in the world for Lindy Hop, and possibly the biggest dance company in the world for any dance. I mean, they are huge. They're in Australia, and in the cities they're in, they're huge, right? Just in what's the city? Sydney alone, Sydney, Australia, or just in Melbourne, Australia, or just in London. Any one of you go to one of these cities, and they have like several dances, like 3, 5, I don't know how many, maybe even 10 dances or classes going on on the same night within a few miles from each other. Within a few miles from each other, they compete with themselves. They're like, all right, we opened a dance here and a class here in this location, but let's go 5 miles away, and let's open up another one here, and let's do it there, and then let's go 5 miles away and open up one up here. They compete with themselves because they know that there's a heck of a lot more people out there in the world that would travel a mile to go dance and would not travel further. Then there are people that would travel a long distance. It's not to say there aren't people that would travel long distance. There are. I was one of them. I traveled literally 3 hours to go dancing once a week. And there was dancing in my town. It's just there was better dancing, or maybe not better, but there was a really fun spot, and it was different, and there was more dancing 3 hours away on a night that there was no dancing in town. So I get there are people like that. I'm not suggesting don't let them come, but don't focus there until you have saturated your own area so much that if you walk out on the street if you go anywhere within 5 miles of your location, right, and you ask somebody at a coffee shop or walking down the street, hey, do you know about Dance Ninjas, or do you know about whatever the name is of your company? They should be able to say yes. 100% of the people. Because if you don't, or let's say 8 out of 10. If you don't have 8 out of 10 people saying, oh, yeah, I've heard of that before. Isn't that the dance thing? Or, you know, I've seen a flyer at the coffee shop. If they have not, if you can't get 8 out of 10 people doing that, then there is no reason to be going outside of the 5-mile limit. You're wasting your time because you're looking at 1 out of 10 people coming to something where 3 to 5 to 8 out of 10 would be willing to come if it's right next door to them, right? So that's my suggestion. Don't worry about getting people far away. I have not worked with a scene yet that is at that level. The only people that I would try to create a program for that with would be Scott Cupid's Swing Patrol, right? And he doesn't need me to do it because he knows how to do it already. He just opens up another studio 5 miles away, and then he advertises them. And then once a year, he puts on a big event, and he's got all these small scenes come together, and he gets a whole bunch of people coming to his big event. And it's more than once a year. I'm sure it's several times a year, a lot of times a year because it's huge, right? But the point is that that's the power of doing this in lots of different locations, or building one scene and getting it strong, and then doing something else. And that's a cool thing. Once you have the scene strong, sold out all the time with your local people, go open up another one. You'll have time, you'll have money, you'll have all that to be able to do that stuff because that one's going to be running and on its own. And that's really how you get to do this kind of stuff full time and make a lot of money on this is by growing it, you know, and getting it sold out and growing somewhere else. To give you an idea of how much you can make, there's a place in Burlington, Vermont, held one dance a week. Every week they had a class with a dance. He had no staff. He taught the class. He DJ'd the music. He put a jar at the front of the door that said, you know, $10. And he trusted people to pay the $10, right? By the way, $10 is not necessarily what I recommend, but it can work. If you work with me, we'll do a sliding scale, 8 to 15, and or maybe we'll adjust it for your scene depending on where you live. But we'll work it out so that a sliding scale is the best way to go. So the distance from the city. Burlington, Vermont. So he was making 30 grand a year, working one night a week for a few hours, just by doing this. You know, I'm sure the first year he didn't, but after he was going strong, he was making 30 grand, probably paying $1,000, $2,000 for rent for the whole year. I'm sure it wasn't very much because they're in the middle of nowhere, small place. And he was going to school. That's what he was doing as his like little side project. So you can make a lot. That's just one night of dancing a week. And my suggestion, if you wanted to go full-time in this, would be, okay, you've got that one night, you're making 30 grand, let's open a new night, you know, same venue, but let's open a Friday, you know, and let's do that. And that's what I did with Sacramento. Sacramento had Sunday nights. They were sold out on Sunday nights, getting 100-plus people, and they tried to open Wednesdays, and it didn't work. And they were getting like 20 people a night, you know, and that was happening for like 3 or 4 months. And I was like, you know what? Let's grow it. Let's do this. So I worked with Dan in Sacramento, and within 2 months they had doubled the size from like their average from 35 to 70 or 25 to 50. I forget the exact numbers, but they literally doubled their average number of people coming in. And that's huge. That is huge. Imagine you're struggling, you're just barely surviving, and all of a sudden you've got this excess cash from 30 more dancers. You've got, even if you're only charging $5 a night, that's $150 a week. If you're charging $10 a night, that's $300 a week. That's per month, say $1,200 a month that you're making extra, you know. Joel, your chat posts are showing up, or at least I see them. Test. I'm not sure why you're not seeing them. Let's see. Emil, how would you deal with people who wish to split off from your group because they have a different perspective of what they want to do with dancing? Um, Honestly, I would encourage them. I would be like, you know what? Go for it. Do it. Like, and maybe, I mean, I wouldn't spend hours and hours of time like helping them grow their scene because you've got your own things to do. But if they hired you to do that, you could do that. You could send them my way and I'll help them grow it. But I would definitely do that because if your company is growing and if you do a good job with your company, all the outskirt people that hear about dance are eventually the intermediate and advanced are going to want more, right? You know it. You go out dancing and you like going to other things besides your one dance. You might travel 30 miles to go to a different dance. You might go, like I go from Sacramento all the way up to, I go to San Francisco, I go to Seattle, I go all over the place for dance. So the more people that are dancing, the more people that are eventually going to find out about you and go to your dance. And if your dance is really good, they'll keep coming. So it is a long, it's a long run, long game. What do you call that? I forget. But it's a long play, right? You're playing the long game. But that's important. You're in it for the long run. You're not. I hope you're not just here to like run a dance for half a year and then be done. Like I hope you're here because you really want to grow dance, you know. And so that's the strategy is like help everybody grow. You know, I would have their flyers at my event if I felt their event was worthy, right? If I don't like their event, I'm not going to advertise it. If I think it, right? Because I want my people to get quality stuff. Right, so like the stuff that I advertise, I go to it, I check it, and I make sure that it's something that I can give my vote of confidence on before I start sharing it with my people. But if I like something, I share it. Doesn't matter if they're competing with me or not. For instance, Dax Hawk. Dax Hawk is a brilliant dance instructor, and if you want to improve your Lindy Hop, check out rhythmjuice.com. I'll even type it in here for you. rhythmjuice.com. It's awesome. I definitely recommend it. Like, there's things about it that are better than my program. It's a cleaner program than my program, my beta test program for improving your dancing. So if you're one of those people that wants like everything to work really seamlessly, I feel like his program does a better job of it than mine. However, if you're one of those people that wants to really improve your ability to dance as opposed to do a bunch of moves, then I would recommend my program, right? His program doesn't go into as much detail about the nitty-gritty details of like how to improve your dancing with every partner you dance with and how to match music and things like that that are more integral to improving your dancing versus improving a style of dance, right? And he's still good at improving your dancing. Not going to say he's not. It's just his focus is on Lindy Hop, right? And improving your Lindy Hop. And then on top of that focus, he gives you techniques to improve your connection, improve your musicality, things like that. Whereas Dance Ninjas, the thing that I'm beta testing, goes the other way. It says, I'm going to improve your ability to connect with people and your ability to be musical, and then I'm going to let you choose which dance form you implement that into. So it's a little different in that way. So yeah, I think advertise other people's stuff if you feel it's quality. Because if one of you goes and checks out Rhythm Juice and you like, yeah, Andrew said that, like, and it's true, and everything he said, it's great, you know, then I get a little bit of bounce back credibility as well. Right? So you go, oh, Andrew knows what he's talking about. So if I do something else that works for you, that is what you want, you're more likely to buy from me because I've set you up with something that you trust. You're trusting me, right? So that's how I do it. Joel said, I had the vision of multiple classes in multiple locations, but the interest from the scene was not there to support it. Joel, it doesn't. The interest doesn't come from the scene, and that's the hard part.
Like if you're like me and you're like sitting at home and wanting to snuggle up, that's not where it comes from. Uh, so really, the method to do it is to blow your own thing out of the water, right? So much so that it's growing, it's expanding, it's huge, it's going really well, and then take that system and let someone else do it somewhere else. Someone that's excited about it. It only takes one person that's excited to take that system and then put it somewhere else, right? And that is kind of what Scott does. Is he designs something that's so good, and then he sets it up. He says, okay, who wants to teach for me somewhere else? And he might handle a little bit of the logistics, like paying the rent, but he lets them handle a lot of it too. He might even help with advertising some, but they advertise for him as well. They do a lot because they're the teacher, they're interested. So it takes you having a product that's so good that they go, wow, I can do this. They see the proof, right? The proof is there. They know that if they do this, they're going to eventually have 100 students in their class, right? And they're going to be making money off of this, and they're going to be able to support themselves, right? And then you get them to go in and do that for you. But it doesn't work if you're struggling, and then you try to open up another one that's struggling, or even if it's just okay, right? I mean, maybe it'll work, but it's a lot harder to convince someone to do something if you're doing something okay than if you're doing something that's blowing it out of the water. So plug all those holes that are happening in your own business so that it's just packed with people. Yeah, and Joel, like you said, I used to put flyers out for other local opportunities, but it was not reciprocated at all. There's no collaboration. And that's the thing is I don't want you to do something that requires someone else. That's huge. And if you do the beta test, that's all we're talking about in that. Our mindsets as people is that we're doing things all the time and we're needing other people to do something in order for us to make things work, right? And I want you to be in a position where you don't need them to do things. You can do things for them because you know that it benefits your business. You don't need them to collaborate. If they do, of course, that's even better, but I don't want you to be in that position where you need it or anything like that. And if you're really doing well, and they like your product, they probably will promote it. But what the problem might be is for some reason they might not like your product. They might not like you. I don't know. And it's not anything I know Joel. Joel's awesome, right? He's a great guy. He's very considerate, very kind, always helping people out. So it's not because Joel's a bad guy or doesn't have a good product. He's an amazing dancer. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with their own insecurities, right? Their own things, they're struggling to survive. They don't want to help your event because their event's not working, and they don't know, they don't want to send their students to you because, even if you send them your students, how many students are you sending them? Maybe if you're huge, if you're Swing Patrol, right? Swing Patrol, and you have hundreds of people, thousands of people, and they have 100. Then they might be willing to cross-collaborate because it's so clearly, obviously, an advantage to them, right? But if it's balanced, it's hard to get cross-collaboration unless someone has the same mindset, and you can try to get them to have that mindset, but the best way to do it is just blow them out of the water, have a huge scene, and then they're like, how did you do that? Send them to me, and I show them, look, you got to be collaborating if you want to, if you want to grow. It's at your advantage to collaborate, right? And I want you guys to get this. What I'm saying is not don't collaborate with others. It will be valuable for you to collaborate with others. What I'm saying is you don't need them to collaborate with you. Yeah? Because if you need them, you're going to struggle, right? So I want to be very clear. My program, what I'm trying to get you guys to do is go ahead, collaborate with others, but don't require them to collaborate with you. Just know that as you're plugging holes in your business and you're filling up and improving your business, that collaboration that you do for them is only going to help you, even if they don't collaborate back, right? Because helping them grow in any way is going to help you eventually in the long term. Yeah. Robert, no problem. Yeah, I totally understand. It's probably about time for me to head out as well. Actually, that was my last question here. So if there's any last questions, I will answer them. But yeah, if you guys need to go, head out. Let me just make sure that you have that chance to, oh, you do, to reserve a spot for the Double Your Dancing program. If you want to do my beta test for improving your dancing or improving your teaching, again, it's more for improving your dancing, but a lot of people are using it to improve their teaching. It's not designed for that, but I'd say 80% of the people on it are teachers that have been teaching 5 to 10 years and are using it to improve their teaching or get new ideas. You can certainly do that. Ask me for the link. I'll set you up with it. Or just go to danceninjas.com and there's a link to get more information right on Dance Ninjas. I think it says learn more. Let me double check that. And are there any other questions coming in the chat? Let's see. Oh, Joel says, San Diego is split and very fearful of losing students, so the growth is consistently small. I am hearing that you really don't need them to be successful, and that is very helpful. I've fallen into that fear mentality. Looking forward to working with you and eliminating this fear and being successful. Awesome. Thank you, Joel. Looking forward to working with you as well. Super excited about that. Let's see. The Dance Ninjas, I don't know why it's not coming out, or my page. Oh, that's right. I took it down so that people wouldn't be able to join the beta test without the beta. I'm very particular. I want the right people in the beta test, you know, so I made it not possible to join the beta test on my website. Those of you that are on this call are obviously passionate about your dancing. If you want to improve your dancing as well, actually that link is not the link. The beta test, I'll do a pop-in for it one more time. And it'll give you all the details. Check it out. You do need to follow the instructions in order to join. That is there. Robert says, if I email it to you, can I still get some advice on our flyer if I email it to you? You would have to do the program for me to spend the time. That's something that I need to be paid because that takes time, and it takes a lot of time. It's not just looking at a flyer. It's like I send you ideas and then you interpret them wrong, you send it back. Yeah, it takes time, so I would want you to hire me for that. If you don't want to do the whole program with me and you just want to hire me for that, you could hire me for an hour of it, and you know it's $300 for an hour. It's certainly worth it. I know I've worked with scenes before that do that, and they get a ton of information. We can even split that up. I'm pretty lenient on it, so we could do a 20-minute call 3 times so that we can get critiques over time. But that is something that I do specifically in the dance program, and just that alone is easily worth $1,000. Definitely worth it. Yeah. Could you please give a link to the presentation? I can't find it. Like I said, if you're going to click on the pop-in, now it's not the correct pop-in right now. It's the beta test pop-in.
But when I send the pop-in, I'll do it again at the end of this call. There will be a Double Your Dancing program pop-in. If you click on that, and you will be able to sit. So the picture in the bottom, it says Go Big, and then it says Add to Cart or something like that. If you click on that, you will be able to see. And right-click, so it opens in a new window just in case. It'll be a Double Your Dancing form, and if you scroll to the bottom of that, there's click here for Double Your Dancing slides, right? You click on that, and it'll take you. I'm doing it right now just to make sure it works. All works perfect. Double Your Dancing presentation comes up right there. Double Your Dancing with Andrew Sutton, and then it'll show you all the link or all the other information that I talked about in this slide, as well as some things that I didn't even talk about, or that you didn't see. All the stuff you saw, as well as some stuff you didn't see. I need to go back and check out the poll to see. Okay, so just to get an idea, it looks like 42% of you, wow, nobody said they wouldn't do it. So some of you said that a few of you said $25 would be enough to do this on a monthly basis. Most of you said you'd do $50 or $100. Actually, the most said 100 would be willing to do this monthly. So that is awesome. I'll definitely think about doing that, and I'll let you guys know if I come up with a subscription plan. I think we might have enough people charging, somewhere between 50 and 100. We might have enough people to go ahead and make that happen. So that'd be cool. Yeah. Any other questions? If there aren't any, I'm going to go ahead. You clicked on the Double Your Dancing, but you didn't see the link to the slides, Joel? What did you see? Can I ask, what did you see when you clicked on that link? And more importantly, when you scroll to the bottom of that page, what's at the very bottom? What's the last words you see at the bottom of that page? I'm opening a new browser. Maybe I need to refresh my cookies. I'm not sure why it shouldn't be showing. You know what I can also do is, let's see. Okay, Nikolai found it. Awesome. Correct. Sweet. Whew. All right. So I think we're good to go. I don't see any other questions. Thank you guys very much. Look forward to working with those of you that signed up, and those of you that are still thinking about it. Hopefully you'll sign up later. Yeah. Joel, if you're already signed up to go, you'll be getting those presentations anyway within the and all that stuff that I share with you. So yeah, so the link will be in that stuff later. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. Dance Ninjas out. All right, I'm leaving it up a couple more seconds because I'm noticing people popping stuff in at the last minute. Nice.